of the benefits of being.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so so for the girls, they're able to really like connect with women that are in very multiple and diverse sectors and diverse fields. So that's one of the things. But if you go on like the App Store and you search My Power app, it would come up. Same for Android as well. I would look for a video to share while everyone else is speaking. I didn't know I was going to do that, so I didn't have that on hand. Sorry.
That's fine. Just whilst we've got some time, I'm just checking in. All right, thank you so much for that, Aisha. Okay, so next up, Gita, do you want to come along and introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I think it's more of a morning and an afternoon right now. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm honored to be amongst all of you. So my name is Gita Eid. I've been living in Ghana for many years, all my life actually. I was born and bred in Ghana. I'm currently living in Accra. I'm a wife and a mother and a life coach and an executive coach. I run my coaching company called Intentional Change, and I've been doing this for the past 3 years. I'll share more with you when it's time for my deep dive. And for now, I'll listen to the rest of you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to the rest of the program. Thanks, Tonisha.
Thank you. I mean, everyone's just downplaying themselves. Gita is a Tony Robbins trained coach. Right?
Yes.
Apart from the fact that she's amazing on her own. See, so there's a lot going on here. Like I keep saying, amazing. Everyone's just amazing. And Gita, did I realize that you've got a podcast? Is that what you shared in the group? I mean, in the community area?
No, not yet. I should. This is something on my, my goals list, on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I'm now experimenting with, audio posts and seeing how that would go. But yes, I mean, the sky is the limit. We've got so much plans, and I look forward to sharing it with all of you.
Amazing. So Gita, yesterday, I don't know if anyone who's been in the members area recently, Gita shared last night or sometime yesterday a post, and it's like, it was just so soothing. I think it was like 2 minutes long, and I was just like, oh God, like you should have a podcast. So yeah, no, really good. Thank you for that. All right, next, I can't remember who's done now. Rosemary, did you do yours already? Okay, perfect. Rosemary, if you want to go next.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning. My name is Rosemary Dede. I am Ghanaian, born in Germany, raised in Belgium, so I call myself an Afropean. I have a community called She Tribe, which is a female community for Black women in Europe mainly, who want to live a healthier, happier, more successful life together. And so I host retreats and do workshops online and also events quarterly. And I am a life coach and a business coach. I call it holistic lifestyle strategist because I bring the two together. I don't believe that lifestyle and business should be separated. I like to merge those two together. And my superpower is helping women identify what theirs is and how they can package that into an online business. So I'm all about helping women create an online business so they can live remote lifestyles and live from anywhere. And that is it.
Nice. And then not just that, also you run those really cool work with me sessions. So I spent my first one with you, didn't I, on Sunday, which is really nice. I think it's really good for anyone who wants to feel like the community, or they have like a little community. I joined on Sunday night, and it was like an hour, right? We did introductions and everyone just works by themselves. And I don't know why, but I didn't realize how productive I was in that hour.
Exactly. Yeah. I started doing that early this year to encourage more entrepreneurs to just block time for CEO time, I call them, because we find ourselves wearing all the hats, doing all the things, but not really dedicating time for strategic planning. So that 1 hour on a Sunday is when I do that, and I open it up for whoever in my community wants to join and, really plan their week strategically.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. No, that was really good. I absolutely really enjoyed it. So I'll join again the next time. Thank you. All right. So I'm not going in any particular order, by the way. I'm just going from the names I'm seeing because the screen jumps every time someone new joins. So there you are, Maya. So I think next we can have Monica. Monica is one of she's actually our favorite vendor. Monica has a brand called Bonnie Grain. And it's these delicious snacks that are all made from like dried fruit. Monica, are you able to share screen? You don't have to do your vendor pitch now, but just to give us a quick introduction. Put your camera on.
Thank you, and hi to everyone. So Bonnie Grain is into the distribution, manufacturing, and supply of dry fruit snack. So our main purpose here is to solve post-harvest losses by farmers. And what we do with our snack is to give it a longer shelf life by maintaining the nutrients, and we get to enjoy it deliciously. So everything we made are from natural fruits, and we make carrot powder as well and beetroot powders as well. So this is who we are. We are 100% made in Ghana, sourced in Ghana, and we grow here as well. So actually I own the farms myself. So this is from the farm to the cup. Yeah, so I'm here to have fun and I'm in Connect. Yeah, so thank you.
I did not know you owned the farm.
Yeah, I do. I have farms
It's amazing.
farm in the north, and we have farms here as well.
Wow, okay. We got farmer chicks. We got agriculture in the house.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, that's amazing. Well, anyway, it's my favorite snack. I'm always eating it. I always run whenever I'm back talking to Monica again, I've already run out of the last batch I bought from her. So they're amazing. Right, thank you so much, Monica. So Monica will be presenting later, actually introducing her product. I just wanted to give a little introduction. So thank you very much for that, Monica.
All right, thank you too.
Thank you. All right, and then next up, Melissa, you are online now. So Melissa is one of the co-hosts with Minerva and myself. So I'm actually hosting panel 1. Minerva is hosting panel 2, and I believe Melissa's hosting panel 3. So Melissa, are you able to speak and just give a bit of introduction, put your camera on? Can Melissa hear me? No? Minerva, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. You want to pop that camera on and then give your introduction?
Sure. I popped by and then you're just laughing at me.
I know.
Okay, hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm Minerva. Just as Tanisha said, so I'm one of your co-hosts today. I'm excited to run panel number 2. My background's in sales and marketing. So I've done a few events, actually the first and the second, now the third one for the year. So excited to learn more about the education environment, industry, ask tons of questions, and then make new contacts.
Yes, good. Team tons of questions. That's how I picked my co-host. I picked my co-host for how much questions they ask me. I'm like, this person asks a lot of questions. You should be a co-host. So we have a lot of fun. So thank you so much, Minerva. And Minerva also co-hosted with me last time and helps out quite a bit of EDC. So again, if you're already registered, if we've already sorted out and logged into your members area, Minerva is in there with her profile picture up. Girl. So please feel free to connect with her and talk to her about sales or anything like that as well. And Minerva is actually going to be running a sales session with us, and probably in collaboration with Paystack as well, because we're going to run a Paystack session. So we might just run it together, sales and payments at workshop soon. So that will be your Minerva when you see it on the flyer.
I'll see you then.
Thank you, Minerva.
Thank you.
Right. So let me check out the rest of this list. Hold on. I'm just trying to open up the rest of my Zoom screen. Monica, Melissa, Anwar, Steve, Betty, Aisha, Kenneth, Daniel. I think everybody except Melissa, if Melissa can hear, I think everybody else has already given their introductions and welcome. So I'm just going to quickly give you guys an introduction to, I'm going to screen share quickly so I can give you an introduction to the, or just a view of the Ladies Entrepreneurship Club. Ordinarily speaking, when we have our events, I never remember to do it. And all everyone says is, Tanisha, you didn't tell us anything about how the website works and things like that. And I know sometimes people have some technical issues. So I've moved my screen this way now. So don't worry about the fact that you can see my head moving. It's just so that I can show you the screen. Now, can you confirm for me that you can see my screen right here? Yeah? Anyone? Oh, Rosemary, thank you, Rosemary. Okay, yes. So perfect. So for anyone who's trying to, well, I think the attendees you guys are watching will be watching through here. But basically for everyone else, anyone ordinarily when we do events, we have an event page when we live stream. People can just pop over to the page right here, pop in their name, email, click join. Oh, sorry, should have done that. Let me just do abc.com just for the sake of this quick tutorial. Click join, and then it will ask you for the passcode and things like that. And then you can actually click to join with the passcode. Because the event is live now, it might not even be asking for that particular passcode because ordinarily people wouldn't know to find this particular page. So that's that. So we have been in existence for just over 2 years in terms of the Ladies Entrepreneurship Club. And we have had lots of different shapes. We used to just be a WhatsApp group because I know lots of people ask me, oh, Tanisha, why don't you just have a WhatsApp group? We had a WhatsApp group forever. And actually, I got very bored of running WhatsApp groups. And it turns out I don't like running WhatsApp groups and I'm not good at them. So, and of course, we do have a boot camp and we use the WhatsApp group for the club. So over the last year, we've been building out our new space. And now we have a beautiful website. I am so proud of it. It's built by one of the members of our team, James, and myself over the last year. And so feel free at some point to come over and have a look. When events are upcoming, you should always be able to find them in the slider. So of course, this event has passed. Our next event is about how to start getting clients. And that's over in Northridge for anyone that's physically in Ghana. But there's a lot more events happening in March that I need to upload here. But you can just go there. And also once people make purchases, once you make a purchase, you should be able to access your account area. And it's as simple as just logging in, and it will keep track of all your orders, the status of your membership, any courses that you've bought from us, any events that you've already pre-registered for. So I know that this time quite a lot of new people have joined. So I did have quite a lot of back and forth with messages because we've got people on watching from different platforms, messages of people asking me how to track their purchase, how to go back, how to find the ticket, etc. That is something that if you purchase through the website, which sometimes people find to be quite long. The reason it's a bit long is because we are collecting enough information to give you a dashboard. So when you purchase through the website, you can actually go along to see all these things. You can track your orders, your downloads, and anything else like that. So it's really, really useful space. I definitely recommend that everyone does it. And then we have these different buttons here on the side, and they're just shortcuts to the same things that you have in your menu. But on the mobile phone, they're a little bit easier and a little bit quicker to get to. And then of course, they allow the same features. So they allow you to go to access any courses that you've bought, look at the members area and send messages and make contact with people. And they also allow you to access this dashboard and of course your events that are coming up. And more importantly, if you're ever having an issue and you just want to drop us a message, you can use this button to chat to us, and that button comes to us via WhatsApp. And then of course, we have our amazing new members area, which is a huge upgrade from a WhatsApp group. Yes, we may go back to WhatsApp groups because a lot of people are like, but I still like WhatsApp. We may do that. But one of the benefits I find of this particular space, unlike a WhatsApp group, is that when you log in and join, you can see the content from previous members. You can have a proper profile. So if we go over, we have a look at my profile. It's a bit like LinkedIn in that it allows, we've set it up so that you can put in all of your profile information, right? So you can have your picture, your backdrop. Some people like Mavis have done this amazingly. You can also talk about why you're here so people can get to know that a bit. You can put a profile information about yourself. And of course, you can put information about your company, because you are not your business, you are not your company, but you do want to be in a space and network. And obviously you want to network a particular product or company. So I think Monica is one of the vendors that's having a vendor spotlight. So if we have a look at Monica's, for example, you can see Monica's been able to set up her profile and her information is there, and she's put the information about the company there. which has been of her preference, right? So it's really useful. And then of course, for sending messages, you can directly message anyone here like that. You get all your notifications and things like normal. And then we'll start having private members only events very soon, which will be virtual, which is why we really wanted to start the virtual events this month. So again, you'll be able to see those events and then contact your connections, see forums. So that's really the space. Now, in order to, so a lot of people are asking, well, how will networking work out, considering that we're in a virtual event? So how networking will work out is literally, you heard Monica speak, you decide you want to contact her, you'll just log into your members area and you'll speak to Monica. For those of you who aren't already annual members and you just bought the ticket for today, you do get 1 month of membership. So you don't have to hurry up and do it right now. And my vision in terms of this is that actually that will provide a much better experience for networking over time, because you're not limited to the people that you've been able to network with on the day. And instead you are able to, Chelsea Elikem, can you mute your microphone? Please. Or Nathan, can you mute Chelsea? Okay, great. So you can network all month long. So you can just focus on listening today. Hey, Kamisha, you can focus on just listening today and getting through the event and taking your notes. You will have access to the recording. The recording will be on that page I mentioned earlier. I think I showed it earlier here. It will be there. And as long as you've got an account, you've got the code details, you can rewatch it over and over, and we'll put out a lot of snippets as well, as we do with other events. You can, if you forget the name of speakers, you can always come here. There's a very faint arrow here, and you can scroll through the names of the different speakers to be able to see who they were. We may change this layout over time, but the information will always be there. As you can see, we're probably going to lay it out a bit like this. But for now, as the event goes on, the page will grow. That's what happens every time we run an event. As the event goes on, the page grows and it looks very different, and it's quite interesting. So that's it. I just really wanted to give that kind of background and introduction on the club and the community space. Does anyone have any kind of questions? Has anyone been struggling to log in? If you have, and if you do, just feel free to send me a direct message. You don't have to say it here. You can just send me a direct message just to let me know that you've been having those particular challenges. And then we can go from there. So before we get started, let's do the last set of introductions, please. So Kamisha, I can see you've just popped in. Let me stop sharing. Hey, Julian.
Hey, Tanisha.
Julian. Ultra. Okay, so Kamisha's just going to give a quick introduction, Julian, and then you'll give an introduction, and then we'll start the first panel, which you're on.
Cool.
So, get that cup of water. Hi, Kamisha.
Hi, Tanisha. So nice to be on this afternoon with all of you. I'm Kamisha Cox. I'm the founder and executive director of the Reading Partnership, a Canadian-based charity with global aspirations. And today I'll be doing one of the deep dives, talking about designing an engaging learning experience. And I'll be sharing more about the engaging learning experiences that I've been able to design for children and parents in Canada.
Thank you. And to give Kamisha her props, Kamisha's been with us in Ghana for a while. And she's like, Tanisha, I can't speak at your events because you haven't run an education event. I think you should run an education event in March. And I was just like, okay. But we run them on the first Saturday of the month. She said, oh, that's my birthday. So it's Kamisha's birthday today. Kamisha was so dedicated to having the event and talking with us, that she's joined us on her birthday. Thank you so much. And I'm not sure if Candace has joined yet, but it was Candace's birthday as well earlier in the week. And it was Rosemary's birthday, I believe, yesterday, right, Rosemary? Yeah, so birthday twins, and then my son is 21 next Saturday. So happy birthday to all of you Pisces. Happy birthday. Thank you. So Julian, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Julian Hall, CEO and founder of a social enterprise called Ultra Education, which has been teaching entrepreneurship to children from 7 years old here in the UK for the last 7 years.
Amazing. And Julian supports entrepreneurs from age 6 to 18, right, Julian?
That's right.
And you run the literally only or biggest or best youth young entrepreneur trade fair every year.
Yeah, so we run kids business fairs. The last one was at Wembley Stadium. We had 140 kid entrepreneurs in the space. So yeah, we believe it's the largest kids business fair in Europe.
Exactly, doing amazing things. And I had the privilege of working with Gina over quite a long time actually. And those entrepreneurs are amazing. I still remember the vegan chef. Tell us a bit about the vegan chef. How old is he? Like 9? The UK's youngest.
He's a bit older than that now. Yeah, he's got Amari McQueen. He's got his own TV show on BBC BBs, and he's published cookbooks and all sorts. So absolute star. Exactly.
So you're never too young, you're never too old, but you're also never too young to get into entrepreneurship. And so things like joining these kinds of events and talking and networking is the best way to go. Don't feel like you're too young, don't feel like you're too old, because Amari will come along and show you up like it's Tuesday morning. So I think that we are literally very, very ready to have our panels. We're about 5 minutes in. So I'm eager to get started. And of course, I am hosting panel 1. So if we could have the attention of Julian, exactly, Daniel, and Aisha. And let me see something. What do I want to do? Yeah, attention of the 3 of you. Perfect, good. So starting off, hold on a second. Just sort out the tech on my side, 1 second. Yeah, so how we're starting off with this thing today is that the real thing about education is I think a lot of people forget that education is a business, right? And one of the main reasons why I wanted to have this panel be the first panel is because, you know, I did my MBA specializing in education. And even I didn't realize there were MBAs that specialize in education, because I know education is a business, but I didn't realize people were doing MBAs in it. And the more and more we go through time, the more I realize that there are a lot of people out there with lots of knowledge, lots of information, who are sharing their skills, but they're not commoditizing it, right? They're not turning it into a business. They're just being nice. And I'm the kind of person that I'm always saying to my entrepreneurs, like, my landlord takes dollars. He does not take nice. Doesn't matter how nice I am to him, he wants to be paid at the end of the month. So I think that this panel, the most important thing I want us to get out of this particular panel is talking mainly about, firstly, so the first question I have for everyone is, how did you decide to go from just actually helping out young people or helping out teenagers or helping girls who want to start a business to actually saying, actually, no, I need to structure this. So like Julian, I know you run a community interest company, which is like half charity, half business. Aisha, your charity, Daniel, your business. Like, how did you decide first that this is something that you needed to structure? So let's start first with Aisha, and then we'll go to Daniel and then Julian.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that question. And thank you so much for having me. I think for me, so there's 2 things. I run my organization, and then I run the tech-based platform, which is a for-profit company. The moment that I realized that I had to look at monetizing was really around sustainability, because I recognized that the nonprofit module is not necessarily sustainable, not in the short term and not in the long term. So one thing that I was always very cautious of was, how do we build something that would be able to sustain the organization and the work that we do, but then also recognizing that in as much as there are certain parts of our services that are for free, there are also people out there that are able and willing to pay for it. So it was really looking at a sustainability module and trying to create a sustainability module that led to enhancing our entire programming, as well as having like a tech-based aspect to it. So that's kind of like how we, that was what my, I hear my voice. That's what my focus was. Yeah, that's,
perfect.
That's basically.
And then how did you make the decision about it being a charity rather than a business, or, just a project?
So I started my organization when I was like 17, in all honesty. So it was I mean, I feel like if I had maybe some of like, Julian's trainings and stuff like that, maybe I would have made a different, I would have taken a different route, but it really always was community-based, because I recognized that moving to Canada, seeing that there wasn't a lot of spaces for me to express myself. There wasn't a lot of spaces for me to learn about, this new country that I was in and everything else that was happening to me as an individual, but then also as an immigrant in Canada. So it was really a way of creating something for myself. And at that time, I recognized that if I was creating something for myself, I can't pay for it. So I think that was really and truly what inspired the move from like the start in terms of like making it a community-based business as opposed to a for-profit business at that time. But you live and you learn, and as you grow, you recognize that there's definitely more ways to make impact as well.
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you so much. And you're right, actually. But the one thing that I think Julian may agree is that there's a lot of amazing structure that can be brought to young entrepreneurs, but actually entrepreneurship, people who get into business young, they've got like a different level of determination. So I'm sure, and I'm sure that powers us, because we used to run those. Well, Julian still runs them, but I remember waking up on Saturday mornings to drag myself to a morning session with Ultra. And I was the only one like dragging myself. The kids were like, hello, Tanisha. So, if you had that passion then, you probably had all the passion that you needed. So, and it's really inspiring. So thank you for telling us that. So Julian, seeing as your name's been mentioned so much already, please tell us how you decided to go from just being a nice guy to actually being more structured with it.
Who told you I'm a nice guy, Tanisha?
I don't know, I'm just assuming because
vicious rumor that I'm a nice guy. Well, the interesting thing, and I kind of did this backwards. So when we started Ultra Education, it was a for-profit education company. We weren't a social enterprise. So many people may not know this, but when we started, it was a paid-for kids club in the same way parents would pay for their children to go to maths and English tuition after school, or they'd pay for them to go to football or piano lessons. It was the same thing. So for the first few years of our existence, we didn't regard ourselves as we weren't a social enterprise. We were just an educational company. So we already had that commercial DNA in our blood. The only reason we flipped over to the social enterprise model is because we realized that there was a large segment of our community who couldn't afford to pay for their children to come along. And if they did, it was a real struggle. So we started to access grants, which would mean that the kids' parents didn't have to pay. So we could help more families, essentially. But from then till now, we've maintained a hybrid model where we now don't necessarily, we try not to charge the beneficiaries, or we don't charge the parents, but because we've created a brand and an access to those communities, we've realized that other people will pay for it. So corporates and grant makers and other organizations that we partner with, they want to, as part of their impact model, they want to reach those communities. They've got to be seen to be supporting those communities. And so they do it through us, right? Yeah. Or there's just such a direct line to improving educational outcomes that we'll just be commissioned to do pieces of work in schools with, again, partner organizations. And so the last kind of year and a half has actually been us flipping back to the original trading model, so that we are 70% trading and only 30% reliant on grants, because the grant thing, as any charity or social enterprise will tell you, it's not a sustainable model. It's very, very difficult. And again, we started off with a trading model. We started to access grants. We became more hybrid, and now we're going back to having a much stronger traded revenue line so that we can be sustainable. And then the grant stuff essentially just becomes special projects. And so that's how we've modeled it.
Nice. Nice. Thank you very much for that. That's very interesting. Okay. I think that, you just alluded to something else about, you know, like actually how we fund and how we grow into something. And actually, believe it or not, now you mentioned that, roughly when we started, I remember seeing that because you were advertising in Hammersmith, the kids club, weren't you?
Yeah,
That
that's
was,
right.
yes, I remember that. I was like roughly just from there. So yeah, really, really good stuff. And actually, I've literally witnessed that growth in many, many ways. And it's not easy, but the truth of the matter, well, I'm not Julian, so it's probably really hard, but it's not hard. What it is it's about consistency, and it's about providing that value and quality. And then the leveling up is hard, right? And moving to the next level is hard because, first of all, most of the time we don't foresee what the next level is. And then sometimes we're just so excited that we don't foresee just how steep that climb is. But no, I really like that, Julian. Thank you for sharing actually the evolution as well. Because I think a lot of times people look at a business or organization in its states today, and really it didn't even start there, you know. So thank you for that. Daniel, yourself, how did you decide to turn? You're definitely a nice guy. So how did you decide that you're a nice guy that charges?
Okay, for us, our business started when I moved back from Lagos back to my home community that's called Aba. Aba is predominantly a small business community where a lot of manufacturers, small scale manufacturers, buying and selling businesses. Most of these cities in Nigeria, around the southeast and south Nigeria, depend on Aba to buy most of their commodities: textile, leather, clothes, provisions. You know, most of the things that are needed is bought from those cities. So when I came, I wanted to use technology to grow my community, you know, supporting businesses with technology and all that. But so as we scaled, it was clear we needed more technology skilled people. Okay, because you need to match people to the businesses to support them with their technology to do one thing or the other. So we started training people on technology skills: front-end web development, back-end web development, digital marketing, graphics design, all the skills that are needed by these businesses. We started training internally and started matching them. And then when we trained, we promised them it was pathway to employment. And we trained people between 16 to 30 years. We reserved 40%, strictly 40% for females. And we also had 20% for people living in underserved communities. So we naturally had, can you hear me? Yeah, we naturally had an inclusive environment. Okay, and then we told them it's pathway to employment, because when they finish their in their skills, we posted them. So they had work experiences into structure, because we wanted them to get certifications, we wanted them to get certificates, we wanted to get partnerships so that someone goes through your training. If he has not been to formal education, he had enough quality to start working, you know, formalized type of work. So we started including other things like job readiness, competence, entrepreneurship development, and some of all those other skills within what we do in IG Hub. Today, we have partnerships with MBTE. MBTE is Nigerian Board of Technical Education in Nigeria. Okay, so that if you go through our program, you have an MBTE certification. Okay, and then we have also now started tracking our graduates as they graduate, when they leave and start working. So we get reports from their places of work. It becomes credit point for them. So when the time they work for a whole year, 1 year, 6 months, at 1 year, 6 months, they have national innovative diploma. So they've gone to school, they've worked, they've had structured work system. And with that, we're growing our technology ecosystem. So at some point, we became like a pipeline community. Yeah. Like most of the people who are training, they got job employment and work experience from local businesses. The next thing they move to Lagos, the next thing they move to Abuja, the next thing they move to Germany, they move to different places. So we sat down and said, can we restructure our model so that we can get value from these migrations, so that we don't, because we built these skills to use in our community, but we saw that opportunities were taking them outside of our community. So we needed to restructure and keep doing that. It's interesting. That was what led us to start, we started opening in different cities. Right now we're in 4 cities and we're targeting 2 new cities by the end of this year in Nigeria. Yes, thank you.
Amazing.
So,
thank you so much. Thank you. Right, Aisha, so I guess, or maybe Julian, I wanted to ask this, so my first set of kind of like official questions. Julian, what do you think are the most profitable types of education business ideas today? We've got a wide range of educators here. We've got personal trainers to, you know, Daniel having a pipeline community. I haven't even heard of that process before. I mean, that's beyond what we do in higher education even. So what would you say have you come across that seem to be the most profitable types of businesses in the education space?
You know what? I want to say EdTech, and I guess so. It's less about what type of education, i.e., what subject, but I've been in the kind of just education and training, then social enterprise, and you know, I've started an EdTech company and stuff. And I guess it's if you are making say £100,000 a year in a social enterprise, you're making £100,000 a year in an education company, or you're making £100,000 a year in an EdTech company, the value of each is very different. So if you're making £100,000 in a normal service-based education company, the value of that company might be 1.5 to 2x. If you're making £100,000 in a social enterprise or a charity, well, there is no value because you can't sell it. If you're making £100,000 in an EdTech company, then the value of that company is between 5, 10, or 15 times, right? Now, there's levels of difficulty. So delivering an education as a service, so if you're teaching coding and you've got a physical space and you bring, you know, young people into your space, you teach them coding, that is easier than if you just do it through some technology, right? So, but the value, the kind of exit value of that company, the difference between it being an edtech company and a service-based company, it's completely night and day. So I would always say that if there's a way that you can leverage technology and take the insight and expertise and content that you have in the delivery of your social enterprise or your education company, and you can find a vehicle for that to travel through technology, then you should absolutely explore that, because that could be a way in which you could realize gains, financial gains that you just couldn't in another iteration. And it can, you know, you could feed that capital back to make the social enterprise sustainable and so on. So for me, it's been the business model and then the actual structure of the company that seems to make the difference in terms of the value or how much money you can make out of it. Because, you know, if you look at, for example, there's a, in the UK, we have a very popular product called Mathletics, which is used in schools to teach maths, but it's an edtech product. And, you know, I haven't looked at how much they're worth, but they're used by a lot of companies. They're obviously for-profit edtech company, and I'm sure they're doing extremely well. Whereas if you flip down to, say, a Kumon or a Kit McGrath, who would be doing exactly the same thing, they'd be doing after school maths tuition. You know, there is no exit value, right? They're just extracting whatever they can from the weekly subscriptions, you know, so, and they're not going to be making the same kind of money because it's not a scalable model either. However, the expertise in delivering the maths is probably the same. So the Kumon after school maths teacher or tutor doesn't know, you know, is probably just as good as the Mathletics online maths tutoring. It's probably just as good, right? But because it's in a different vehicle, the kind of capital worth, the commercial value is completely different.
Crazy. Crazy. you've always got that tech game going though, because I remember you've also got the games, haven't you? The kids games and stuff. So I think you're right. There is a certain amount of value in that tech space. So thank you very much for that. Next question I want to ask is for, I guess, Aisha. So what would you say are the key requirements for someone who wants to start an education business from anywhere in the world? Because of course you're in Ghana right now, but you started off in Canada. So you've kind of got that internationalization going on with your charity. So what do you think are the key aspects?
Yeah, no, I think kind of like just piggyback off of what Julian said, I think is first off, of course, recognizing what industry or what sector you'd actually want to get into, and then seeing how you can leverage technology to make that easier. There's a lot of different like opportunities specifically in the education space, from health to fitness to mental health and well-being. There's so many different aspects. So I think first is like recognizing what that niche is and what your strength area is. The other thing too that I'll say is that, like, you know, in as much as there's a lot of opportunities, there's value in like the small minuscule things that you might feel like is not necessarily quote unquote profitable. So for example, if you look at where the world is going and then you look at kind of like the challenges that everyday people are facing. So like mental health, I think, is like one of those industries that has been transformed with technology. So you have a lot of like telehealth folks. So depending on what your strengths are and depending on what your area of interest is, the main thing that I'll say is like, look at how technology can make that process easier. Look at how technology can actually elevate that which you're doing. So I think that would be the first thing. The other thing too is like identifying what market you want to be in. I started in Canada, but I have a very targeted focus. So my focus is on girls and women. So everywhere that I go in the world, wherever it is that I decide to go in the world, there's always going to be. Sorry, I think someone's microphone is unmuted. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, Thank you. So yeah, like wherever I decide to go in the world, or wherever I decide to launch Power to Girls, or wherever I decide to launch my Power app, there's always going to be girls and women there. So I think it's also identifying what market works for you. But I think when we were doing the introduction earlier, Daniel said something that is also very profound, in the sense that we're always so focused on like the big areas, we're all focused on like the big cities, but there's so much need in the smaller communities, in the rural communities. So it's really identifying what is that, like, what is your superpower and what is your moat and what's that thing that is going to set you apart from everyone else. So it really is like a very reflective thing that you would have to do. And also, like, you know, recognizing that, like, I'm a person of passion. So I always talk about how important passion is in any sector. But then also really like looking at ways that, you know, the things that you care about or the things that actually upset you can become a catalyst for creating something beautiful. So yeah, that's.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you. So a catalyst for creating something beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so I guess the next question, which is the kind of question people usually want to ask about anything. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it to you, Daniel. Because I feel like everyone's invested quite a lot of money, but you've got physical buildings in different cities and things like that. So let's talk about money, right? Not how much actual money, because you're in Nigeria, Julian's in England, Aisha's in Ghana. So it's not really about currency at this point, right? But it's kind of like the age-old question. People want to know, what do they need to be thinking about in terms of capital in order to start an education business that's going to be sustainable? So of course, Julian alluded to grants and the fact that grants are hard to get and they're hard to work on. And the thing with grants as well, apart from being hard to get, is that then you have to deliver these outcomes, which sound nice when you write them, and it's so much harder to deliver, especially if the team members aren't on board. So there's a lot of factors to think about with money. So I guess I want you to talk to me about, like, what are kind of like the financial things that need to be going through one's mind as they're trying to build out a sustainable education business. You're muted.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much. it's important for us to understand that starting an education business requires a lot of work. And at every point of, for everything you do, it requires that you put in the work that is required. I don't encourage anybody to start any education business before the person must first of all put down a business plan, have a clear idea of what your strategy and your model is. Okay. It's possible that something else led you into running an education business. Okay, but you must be clear about your business model. You must be clear about your legal structure. You must be clear about getting the licenses needed for the business. You must be clear about accreditation and licenses. So some of these things were the basic things that will cost you money. Okay, the work, the research work you need to do to have a clear business plan and model and say, this is how we're going to run. This is what and then what's your legal structure? Are you going to run like an NGO? Are you going to run like a business? And then you need to incorporate that business. Okay. Are there business licenses that are important? You need to get that done. Okay. Are there accreditation and licenses that are important? You need to get those done. And you need to spend money at each of this level. Okay. Then you need to get a team. You need to get a team, and you need to do proper staffing. Okay, get a team not just that will train. You need a team that will run the operations, that will run the strategy, that will run marketing for the business. And then another thing that will cost you money is marketing costs. You need to let people know what you are doing and what you are selling. Okay, you need to also have an arrangement that makes sure that quality is met. So you need to have compliance and quality assurance team, people looking at your compliance and quality assurance. I need to invest in technology, okay? Audiovisual technology, multimedia technology. You need to invest in, sometimes you need to invest in content. You need to invest in content production. Let's say you want to run, like growth for us was when we started putting our courses online for people to now register for our programs and attend from wherever they are. So you find out that it's costing you more to run a physical space than to start an online space, because physical space, you pay rent, you have staff there working. Online, you have to equip a studio and you need to have staff manning the cameras, manning the sound, doing everything. After the recording is done, editing is done. Okay, you need to get a number of licenses. So there's a lot you need to put in place so that you don't start and then find it difficult to continue. That's very key. And then you need to start thinking in terms of, because you need to focus, don't lower your overhead cost. Make sure your overhead cost is low, especially if you want to run an online training program. Okay, you need to look in terms of making sure you don't put in a lot of funding in your startup stage. Now, I try to encourage people that, number one, the first thing you need to understand is that you need to make money. And because you are making money, because you need to be profitable, you need to make sure that the things that are cost heads for your business are the things that you mostly need. Don't, I wouldn't encourage anybody to get involved in the things. There are nice to haves and there are must haves. So you need to check what are the must haves. If you're starting up your business, if your education program is a startup, okay, you need to do the basics. Sometimes there are some education programs that are 100% leveraged on one person. Let's say you are doing a course, you are developing the content and putting it all out there yourself. So it means that you need to also invest in your personal development. So all our developers I work with today, what happens is that we do trainer continuous development programs. So all the trainers, they attend 1 or 2 courses before the end of the year. Why? So that they can be on point and keep developing as individuals. Okay. And you need to, because we are running training in certain locations, like we have our trainers in Aba, they might be training people in Asaba, in our other locations. You need to invest in quality connectivity, internet, so that they're able to, you're able to transmit and you're able to train when you are doing live sections. And you need to invest in Zoom Zoom links and all those platforms. You need to check the platforms you need. Okay, if you need to record, you need to get all the platforms and pay for them. So those are the basics you need if you're starting. And then the prices might vary from one place to another. Like if you want to get a university or technology license, a technical education license in Nigeria, it's 10 times what you pay to get it in countries like Benin Republic. That is our next door neighbor. So you see so many people that want to do education business in Nigeria. What they do, they go to those countries, they get the licenses and they use it. They're providing virtual education. So licenses, compliances, and certifications needed might vary from one location to the other. So you need to study and find out what works in your community. I've given out an overview now, but you need to study and find out what works in your community, find out what the price it is in your community, and then partnerships and affiliations are important to reduce cost. Okay, for example, if I want to start and I don't have the funding for a certification or for a license, I can partner with an already existing institution that is doing the same thing I want to do. And then you see that that partnership leads you to using their own level, or using what they are doing to deliver yours, and then you are certified. Like for example, I can partner with Julian. Like when Julian was speaking, I say, amazing. I need to start doing something for young children on entrepreneurship because I've been teaching young children only technology. But I think there are some young people like we have IG Kids Code Camp in IG Hub. But second thought, I'm thinking we can actually work together to make sure we provide young people entrepreneurship skills. And if we want to do that, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I leverage on what is existing already with Julian and other people that are doing stuff in the same space. And then you see that my cost is driven low. So you need to check partnerships that are available. You need to check collaborations that are available and use them so that cost is not a reason why you not deliver your impact. Because most times, most of the people you are doing that doing stuff in the education space is about impact, it's about knowledge, it's about growth. Okay, so know the things that are needed, check consistency within your environment, and check possible collaborations and partnerships. That's what I want to say there.
Thank you. Thank you. I have been to school, sleep in education today. Thank you so much to you guys. I know, right, Maya, there's so much going on. It's just amazing. So the thing is, we could do this particular panel all day, and I do have a feeling that perhaps this should be one of our like internal member only kind of discussions that we continue on for people who do want to start an education business specifically. And I do think you will have something to share. So unfortunately, I feel like we have to kind of stop now because we're already 10 minutes over because I got so into it, and allow time for the next thing to happen. So I want to say thank you so much to you guys for coming along. Thank you for your answers. All of your answers have been so in depth. Daniel, thank you. Julian, thank you. Aisha.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, Julian.
Yeah, so remember, you guys should all have connected via the members area. So I do think that there is opportunity, especially with all the speakers and attendees, for you to get to know each other. If there's one thing I'm good at, is connecting the dots, and I believe that these dots you guys should connect for sure. Julian and Daniel, you'll love getting to know each other and getting to know what your businesses are really doing out there. And I think Julian, there's no reason why Ultra couldn't make a little visit over to Nigeria and run a little quick project over there. We do have a large Nigerian population of young people in the UK anyway, so I think there's even opportunity for an exchange program there. Both of you are great with grants and getting all that stuff. So please take it into the members area, and remember to high five me when you're done. And Aisha as well, thank you so much for sharing. And I think the most inspirational thing that's really come out of your story is just the fact that you started at 18. And not because you started at 18, but it's because you're something you're still running that you started at 18. And I think a lot of times when we were younger, a lot of people don't give credit to who they are, right? So you gave credit to who you were at 18, and you're still receiving the benefits of that credit, and other people do too. So thank you very much for all of you for joining us. Thank you so much. Right, ciao. So feel free to stay on the call. We'll just unspotlight you, and then we'll start spotlighting the next person. So next up is Monica. So Monica spoke quite briefly a little bit earlier when we were doing the pre-event intros for anyone that was early enough for that. But Monica is one of our favorite, she's my favorite entrepreneur just because she feeds me. Anyone that has food is my favorite. um, so Monica owns is it Bon Grain or Bonnie Grain? I'm gonna say Bonnie.
Yeah, Bon Grain. Bon
Bon
Grain.
Grain, right? So please tell us all about Bon Grain, Monica, and tell us how we can buy some.
All right, sure. So we've been in existence for a year now, and we're basically into dry fruits and vegetable powders as well. So like I said earlier on, we are in business to help farmers extend their produce. We give them a year shelf life. We realize that after we consume our vegetables and our fruits, the rest are left in the farm to rot because we don't have any other innovative ways of preserving them. So what we do with our fruits is to preserve them, that's just dehydrated, take the water out of it and maintain the nutritional value in there and give it a year shelf life. We also make these nice carrot powders. We grow them ourselves actually, we're using organic manure and beetroot powders as well. So we work closely with farmers. We have
Did we just lose Monica? I
at
think
least
so.
ultra processed like. So this is us and we are 100% made in Ghana. And I work only with women. Our workforce, we are about 10. Yes, we are about 10 now. And so
Nice. Thank you, Monica. Are you still there? You can hear me, right? I think we lost Monica's sound again, but I really like
we are
that.
into
So
dry food and vegetable powders.
with Monica, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We just missed the sentence that you said.
Is it okay now?
About,
Yeah, so our workforce, we are all women. My workers are all women. I intentionally engage women farmers. These are fair traded farmers, and my workforce are just women. And I'm intentional about that, just to grow women business here in Ghana and hopefully across.
thank you very much. So you have a website? Well, actually, you're already in the members area, so that's fine.
Yeah, we have a website.
You have a website,
Yes,
good.
so
So
we
just,
can, yes, you can find us www.bongrain.co. That's our website. Then we are on Instagram as bongraing. That's our handle.
so Bon Grain, I think I put that into the chat there. But again, like I said, if you're interested in connecting with Monica, just send her a message in the members area. Monica's profile is the one that I used earlier when I did the examples. So Monica, before you go, I want to ask you something in terms of I guess your business and choosing to go. How did you end up in the space of agriculture and I guess fast moving consumer goods?
Well, I've always loved agri. I mean, I schooled in the northern parts of Ghana and I was exposed to large farms.
Monica, there's wind. Monica, just protect the audio that you're getting a lot of wind. Yeah.
Sure. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm going on and off today. Wow. Sorry. Yeah, so I was saying I schooled in the north and I was exposed to a lot of farms, a lot of women farmers, and I've seen their produce rot in a farm with no one to pick them up, because apart from the one we consume and the one we eat them, I mean, the one we make drinks out of it, the rest is just left in the farm to rot. So I was like, nah, we can make something out of this by prolonging these fruits and vegetables and giving it a longer shelf life, maintaining the nutritional benefit and all that. So I was enthused to get into agric from what I saw in the north. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So thank you very much.
Thank you
so
too.
If anyone is in Ghana, I definitely highly recommend trying some. If anyone is ever near my house, you can try some because there's always some at my house.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Monica.
Thank you too. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
No, you're more than welcome. All right, so next up we have a panel. No, we have deep dive. Am I right? We have deep dive one, right? Deep dive one, yes. Let me follow the schedule I created myself. So we have deep dive one. So deep dive one is with Kamisha. It's Kamisha's deep dive. So this is an 8-minute deep dive. Kamisha is going to talk to us about how to create an engaging learning experience. We talked about how to get in the industry and why to get in the industry. All right, but then once you have the people in front of you, how do you create an engaging learning experience? Kamisha, teach us, take us to school, darling.
Okay, 8 minutes. I thought I had 20 minutes. So I'm
Yes,
gonna
20
try to
minutes
go.
is all in all for the Q&As and everything. You got 20-minute window, but we're
Okay, so I'm gonna try to pack it all in, and I think Sam is gonna help with the PowerPoint
Yes.
presentation because I cannot share on my end. So for this presentation, I'm gonna start by talking a little bit about the Reading Partnership, the work that we do, and then I'm going to walk you through 6 questions that I think that you should ask yourself when designing a learning experience, an engaging learning experience for your learners. And so again, for those of you just joining, my name is Kamisha Cox. I'm the founder and executive director of the Reading Partnership. A passion project really turned full-blown charity that I've been at for the past 11 years. I'm an educator by training, and Sam, you can go ahead and start to share that presentation. I'm an educator by training, and I actually started my teaching career in the UK. When I graduated from Teachers College in Ontario in Canada, there were no jobs for teachers, and I left. There were lots of jobs in the UK, and I was supply teaching, and I landed at a school in East London in Hackney. And after teaching there for a week, they said, we want you to stay. You're going to be our literacy specialist. And this is straight out of Teachers College. I definitely didn't deserve that title of literacy specialist, but I wanted to take on the challenge. And the challenge was that there were, it was a high school, growing into a high school starting in grade 7. And there were about 100 kids in that school not reading at grade level. So we're talking about kids in grade 7 reading at a grade 2 level, and in some cases not reading at all. And I stayed at the school for a year, rolling out a literacy intervention program, and all the while thinking, wow, how is this possible that kids can get to grade 7, 8, 9 without having the skills that they need to actually succeed in school and in life? And where are their parents? And their parents were blindly trusting the system to really deliver on their obligation, really, to educate their children, and their children were being failed by the system. And this experience in the UK really made me think about my own community in Toronto, in East Scarborough, a low-income, high-potential, highly racialized community that I spent many summers working in. During undergrad, I'd come back and work in youth employment, and I knew that literacy was an issue in my own community. And when I actually returned and started to look into the stats, I found that 49%, this is 11 years ago, so 49% of students in grade 3 classrooms across the KGO community, and KGO stands for Kingston, Galloway, Orton Park, were not meeting the provincial standards for reading. And in some classrooms, that was as high as 60%. And when we look at the communities across the city, across the country, that are also low income, high potential, highly racialized communities, we see the same kinds of outcomes. So there's definitely a need for intervention. There's over 1 million children in Canada that don't have the grade level literacy skills. And we know that children in lower socioeconomic communities are 2 times more likely to fall behind their peers. Globally, we know that only 1/3 of 10-year-olds are estimated to be able to read and understand a simple written story. And we know that 60 million children, that is 8% of the world's population for primary school age children are not in school. And 19% of this population is in Africa, and 3% is in Latin America and in the Caribbean. So there is a lot of work to do in the literacy space. We know also, research tells us that children who are not reading at grade level by the age of 8, so that's grade 3, that they will continue to struggle to graduate from high school, to attend post-secondary education, to become gainfully employed, and to really be able to build a brighter future for themselves and their families. And so I don't think my slides are gonna come up, so I'm gonna try to go through. But Sam, are you able to bring them up, or no? Sorry?
See them. So you're doing great. We are following you.
Oh, you can see them. Okay, perfect. Oh, awesome. Okay, so our vision at the Reading Partnership, we have a big, bold vision, and it's to see every child in every community receive the support they need to learn to write and read so that they can reach their full potential and succeed in school, work, and life. And our mission is to create and deliver literacy-focused programs and resources that empower children and their families to be successful at all stages of life. Sorry, the screen is small though. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the next slide is up, don't worry.
Okay, I'm beginning to see it now. So just here are the programs that we run. I'm going to focus more on the Reading Partnership for Parents program as we talk about an engaging learning experience. I'm going to use the Reading Partnership for Parents program as an example, but that program teaches parents how to teach their children in between the ages of 4 and 6 to read, and it walks them step by step through the process. It's a program that started as an in-person program. The pandemic hit, we moved it online to live online delivery via Zoom. And then we said, you know what, there's still some barriers here to participation. We want to create an asynchronous version of this program to allow families to move through it on their own time and at their own pace. And I'm going to talk more about that. 360 Stories, basically, we're publishing the work of young authors, kids in between the ages of 9 and 12, getting the support they need to write the stories that they want to tell. Kids Read TO, a virtual book club connecting kids across communities and through good books. And we're building home libraries, so they get a copy of the title that we're reading for the semester, and they're online once a week for 6 weeks reading with kids that sometimes live an hour away from them. Dolly Parton Imagination Library, that's a partnership with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, or the Dolly Parton Foundation, where we're basically, again, building home libraries. Kids are receiving books from 0 to their 5th birthday once a month. And so those are the programs that we run in community. We're committed to serving parents and children in racialized, low-income, high-potential communities. And like I mentioned, we're a Canadian-based charity with ambitions to expand globally. Our Reading Partnership for Parents program has been incubated in the Kingston, Galloway, Orton Park community. So that's my community. That's the place that I've lived for over 25 years. And it's now being scaled across Canada. And it's being scaled because it's an evidence-based program that has a proven track record to engage children and their caregivers in supporting their kids to read. There's a video here, but I'm actually going to skip it and not play it because I don't think we have the time to, but that's a video that would have really captured what the program is all about, all of the elements of the program. Parent time, where parents are learning together, kids corner, where kids are learning together, interactive time, where parent and children are coming together, and parents are given the opportunity to actually start to implement some of the things that they're learning in parent time, but in program, where they still have teachers, the guides, the facilitators, the guides on the side to support them and to step in and to model where needed. And so that video actually captures the very first Reading Partnership for Parents program that was run 11 years ago. And so, you know, like I said, we've developed an engaging, high impact learning experience for caregivers and kids. And I think that answering these 6 questions will help you develop an engaging learning experience too. And so, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the question, and then the slide that comes after this is basically going to break down what I think you should consider, and then how we've considered it in the design of the Reading Partnership for Parents program. So question number 1, who are you creating an engaging learning experience for? By understanding your learners, you can tailor your teaching strategies to meet their needs, strengths, and weaknesses. So if you go to the next slide, so who are you creating this engaging learning experience for? What are the demographics of your learners? Age, race, ethnicity, gender, marital status, annual income, geographic location. What are their strengths? What barriers do they face to participation, accessibility? Are there any exceptionalities, learning disabilities? Are there any socioeconomic factors or barriers? And that how did that, all answering these questions, how did that play out in the design of our program, of our learning experience? Well, one, it's the development of age-appropriate curriculum and resources to meet learners' needs, to meet the needs of learners ages 4 to 6 and their caregivers. You know, by understanding who we're serving, race, ethnicity, we're able to really design diverse learning tools and resources reflective of the communities that we're serving. You know, understanding that we're serving low-income families. All of our services and the resources that we provide are for free. Removing other kinds of barriers, like, you know, parents that have multiple children. Sometimes they're prevented from participating in programming because, great, this program is for my 4-year-old, but what about my 8-year-old, right? What about my 12-year-old? And great, it's an after-school program, but I have to go home and cook. I have a husband or an aging parent that I'm responsible for taking care of, and I need to feed my kids, right? So thinking about these things and designing to remove barriers. So the program, we provide child minding. So siblings of kids in our program can participate. We provide meals, not snacks, but full meals. So if our program runs as an after school program, we provide a full meal, and there are takeaway containers so that if there is a parent or a partner at home, food can also be taken home, and the challenge of figuring out how you're going to feed whoever is at home is not there anymore, right? And then understanding that there's sometimes, you know, you'll have children or adults with mobility issues, and we really need to consider whether or not our spaces are accessible. These are all things that we need to consider when designing a learning experience. And then, you know, one of the things that we definitely did for our program is realizing again that sometimes coming to a program was a barrier for families. It was much easier for them to just turn on a computer and attend a program online. And even attending online was a challenge for some, especially with shifting working schedules. So it's great if our program is offered on a Wednesday at 5, you can make it this week, but next week your shift has changed so that you can't. So we really have to consider who we're serving so that we can design experiences and programs that meet their needs. And so this is where our online program came out of the considering our participants, and the asynchronous version of the program also came out of considering, the parents who are on shifts and really need to be able to access this program and move through it on their own time and at their own pace. So if we go to the next slide, so these are just more examples, which we can probably skip through, but this is a little cute video of one of our learners. So the asynchronous version of the program is called RPOD, Reading Program on Demand. It's the on-demand version. And this little learner is actually, her caregiver captured her participating online, and there's a really cool animation that she's singing along with. And I just wanted to show you that, but we'll skip that and go on to question number 2. What you should be asking yourself, what are your learning outcomes? So determining learning outcomes allows educators to assess whether learners have met the intended goals of the learning experience. And so if you go on to the next slide, here are your considerations. What are your learning outcomes? What do you want learners to walk away knowing, doing, believing? What change are you trying to make? How much time do you have to teach them? Hours, days, weeks, years, and what can you reasonably achieve in the allotted time? So we knew that with the Reading Partnership for Parents program, we wanted kids to walk away knowing 37 letter sounds. We wanted them to know 25 sight words. We wanted them to be able to start sound blending and reading and demonstrating understanding of what they read. We wanted caregivers to learn play-based methods for teaching reading. After consulting parents and really talking about, what would work for you in terms of timing, we learned that once a week, no more than 12 weeks was kind of the sweet spot. And so we designed a 10-week program that ran that once a week, so 10 sessions plus an orientation session. And the sessions online were 75 minutes. And the sessions in person were 120 minutes. And that, the learning goals, 37 sounds, we can go to the next slide. We can't tackle that all in one session, right? So we really had to determine, now that we know what our learning goals are, how are we going to break it down by session? And so this is an example right here of learning goals for one particular session. So only 6 letter sounds, there's 5 sight words, and there are learning goals there for both children and parents. And if we go to number 3, how do you structure the lesson for different learning styles? So knowing your students' learning styles as a teacher can help you create a more engaging and effective environment. And so, how do you structure your lesson for different learning styles? So, what kind of learners are there? There are visual learners. They learn through pictures, diagrams, charts, and other visual aids. There's auditory learners. They learn through listening and verbal communication. Kinesthetic learners, they learn through hands-on experience and physical activity. Reading and writing learners, and they learn through reading and writing. And so how do we incorporate these styles of learning in our program design? Every lesson is designed to cater to every type of learner. And so this is where our animations come in. This is where our hands-on games and activities come in. There were videos that I would show, but I won't. So this is an example. The next slide is an example of an online lesson where you can see right in this video, and perhaps the slides can be shared after, how Marcia, who's the educator here, is engaging learners in all of those ways. There's the kinesthetic, there's the auditory, there's the visual. It's all jam-packed in this one lesson. And if we go to number 4, how can learners be engaged in creating the learning experience? Engaging learners in a lesson design allows for a more personalized approach to learning. Learners can choose activities that appeal to their individual interests and learning styles. And so things that you can consider for how to engage learners in the creation of the learning experience. Ask learners what they want to learn, how they want to learn, and what resources and support they need. Encourage learners to reflect on their learning and provide feedback on what worked and what could have been improved. Use this feedback to revise and improve the learning experience for future learners. Work together to develop lesson plans, activities, and assessments that align with the learning objectives and meet the learner's needs and preferences. And so how did we, engage learners in the development of the Reading Partnership for Parents program? Consultations with caregivers to explore program ideas and understand their needs. So like I said, with the when I decided that I was going to design this program, I really thought that it was going to happen twice a week. The program was going to be 2.5 hours. And this is the program that I was designing until I started to talk to parents to really ask them, so what do you think about a program that teaches you how to teach your kids to read and would happen twice a week? And one of my friends who was a parent was like, no, absolutely not. Like 1 day a week, 1 hour tops. And, it was really that feedback that I got from parents that helped to shift my thinking about what this program needed to be, and to also make decisions on how to shape it. Also focus groups. So after every program, we don't do it so much anymore because we've been running this program for 11 years, and it's really at a place where, it's not perfect. There's always room for improvement, but we don't do so many focus groups. After every program, we used to hold focus groups and pay parents to give us feedback on their experience, and really listening and using that feedback to make changes to our program, and then creating paid opportunities for caregivers to come in and program design or develop resources and materials with us. And so if you go to the next slide, so the next 2 slides are pictures of some of our resources. Like we learned through our through our participants that we needed to develop our own learning resources, because parents were saying, we want to see ourselves, we want our kids to see ourselves or themselves reflected in the books and in the learning tools that we're using, but there was nothing in the market. And so we went out and designed a series of books of early readers that are used to teach kids to read. There's 21 of these books in the series, diverse characters and stories. And if you go to the next slide, you can see one of the books and some of our resources, which we have actually made additional improvements to. So what you're seeing in this picture here are old slides, but all of the feedback that we get from our caregivers on the resources, on the program design, through focus groups and surveys are what we use to improve the program along the way. And so this is a way to engage your learners in the design of your program or your learning experience. Number 5. How will you build community among learners? So building community among learners is essential for creating a positive and engaging learning environment. And this is all about, establishing norms, values, and rules for how learners will work together. One of the things that we do in our program is we position everyone as a teacher and everyone as a learner. And so that, parents, caregivers understand that they bring value. Oftentimes what happens in the beginning is they look to the facilitator to be the one to answer all of the questions. And we redirect that and let them know that there's a community here, right? All of the answers aren't going to come from me or the facilitators or the educators. You know your child best. And you have this experience, and we want you to bring your experience to build community and celebrating as well, celebrating each other at the end of our programs. We have a wrap-up celebration, graduation. They get certificates, and they're able to feel proud as an individual family unit, but as a community as well for their achievement and working together. The last question I'll take you to is number 6. How will you measure impact and success? Measuring impact and success helps us learn from our successes and failures. By analyzing what worked and what didn't, we can identify areas for improvement and adjust our strategies accordingly. And, you know, measurement and measurement is so important. Understanding your impact and success is really important. And the only way that you can really understand it is if there's a formalized way of gathering information. And I feel like a lot of organizations usually fall short in this area of measuring impact. And so the Reading Partnership for Parents program has an evaluation framework that wraps around it. We worked with a university to develop, and the evaluation framework includes pre and post assessments for kids coming into our programs, post-program evaluations for caregivers, leader logs for facilitators. So weekly, they are recording the successes and challenges that they're experiencing and facilitating the program. And like I mentioned earlier, focus groups, talking to our past participants and really understanding what their challenges and what their successes were. And all of this, you know, data is collected, analyzed, and used to communicate impact and success, and also use, as I mentioned before, to improve the program. And the last video there is of a little girl, you know, that sometimes we think that the feedback on what works well in our programs can only come from the caregivers, but we also ensure that we engage our little learners too. And so this is a video of this little learner sharing what she liked most about the Reading Partnership for Parents program, and like documenting and finding ways to document impact is also important. So we have tons of these videos, tons of testimonials that we've collected and that we can use to show our impact. And so I hope that this was helpful. If you go to the last screen, stay connected so you can actually follow the Reading Partnership and learn more about all of the programs and things that we do in community. At TRP Now and our website readingpartnership.com.
Thank you, Kamisha. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so for those of you who are monitoring the time, yeah, we are a bit over time, don't worry. We are getting so much gems. I think it's perfectly fine. Okay, so, and also in the ending, the event schedule that you see on the flyer, there is time built in for a slight overrun. So I guess it's mainly the speakers who are popping in just before their talks that I just mainly need to say a little bit of a sorry for, but we're getting really into our discussions over here. Thank you for joining us, Liz. I see you there. See you there. All right. So up next we have panel 2. No, hold on. Am I wrong? No, we have vendor. Right. We have vendor spot 2. So sorry, someone's microphone is on. Yeah, so we have vendor spot 2. So that's Jazara. Jazara, are you here? Yes, you are. Jazara. Yes, thank you, Jazara. So here's your 3 minutes to tell us about your business, what you do, and how to engage.
Thank you so much for having me. For those who I didn't meet when we first came, I am Jazara, the educator, as well as a multi-business woman. Today, since we are discussing education, I want to give an opportunity to speak about the nonprofit that I am the director of development for. The name of that organization is Dynamite Girls International, and is based here in Ghana. What we do is we teach the youth from class 6, if you live in Ghana, it's like grade 6, through until they get past junior high. We teach them life skills, we teach them finance, we teach them spirituality, we teach them confidence, we teach them self-made business women. We are teaching them a lot of different things other than the normal curriculum that's being taught in the schools. We also teach them the importance of community service and selflessness. So currently we have a particular project that we do at the end of every term, which is our community feeding project. It's a fundraiser. We are always trying to raise funds for these girls. For this one, they chose to want to feed the people in an even lesser fortunate area than their own. Our schools that we teach are 4 different schools in Ghana, and all of them are in underprivileged areas, such as like Nima, Newtown, those areas where children, sometimes the condition of the public school is really bad. And if you understand that the condition of the school will have a condition on their mind when they're trying to learn. So when you're coming in to teach these girls, we want to give them an opportunity to know that someone cares for them. There's so much more to learn and how they can grow their own independence. So our community feeding project for the Dynamite Girls International, we're just trying to raise 5,000 Ghana cedis so we can feed with food and water needy families in the Nima area of Ghana. If you wish to donate, I had a flyer that should be showing now, but afterwards you can WhatsApp me and I'm in the members group. I will provide that information. You can find us on Instagram at Dynamite_girls GH. And again, this is a nonprofit organization that is based here in Ghana. I myself am an educator, and I have private teaching classes that are in home. I will come to your home to teach. I teach classes at Alliance Francaise. I teach classes at several different locations around in Ghana. My most recent classes that are coming up that I want to offer everyone here is the nonprofit growth class. There is a lot of, I don't want to say stigma, but people need assistance on how to properly run their nonprofit so that they can be in profit. I have been in the nonprofit sector for more than 15 years, and there are a lot of very important points that will make your nonprofit business sustainable, that will bring you money outside of just barely getting by. But unfortunately, some people don't know exactly how to get to that point. So I offer in-person classes as well as online classes. The next online class is March the 18th, but that one is full. So the one that we are offering is April the 22nd. That will be an online nonprofit, grow your nonprofit organization, which will give you information on how you can retain your donors, development training for those who are in your development department, specializing how to create your donor list, how to retain the donors that you have, how to actually gain the money and the notoriety that you need for your nonprofit to succeed. The 422 class is online. The in-person class will be going on May the 13th at Alliance Francaise. Is I guess it's not too far from the airport here in Ghana. I find that people are different types of learners. Some people learn perfectly fine online, and some people need a hands-on experience. Me, myself, I'm a hands-on learner. So I want the opportunity for you to come into the class, ask the questions while I'm there, bring your information about your organization. It's a full day class. Parking is provided. Refreshments in the morning is provided. Full lunch is provided for that day, because the information that you're going to get, I don't want you to go anywhere. I want you to sit there, bring your book, bring your things so you can really learn how to make profit from your nonprofit. And that again is going to be at Alliance Francaise, May the 13th on Saturday from 9:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. And that allows time for you to be able to take advantage of the class, get a break in between. They have a beautiful campus and grounds over there, so you can relax for a minute and come back to class. I am an educator that 100% believes in giving you something you can walk away with. And doing that means that you have to pay attention in class, be on time, none of that Ghana time stuff. I want you to show up. I don't have time for the Ghana time, med bot. No, come to class on time and get ready to learn. The last thing that I want to talk about, first, I just want to reiterate Dynamite_girls_GH. That is our Instagram, and the fundraiser is going on. You can see the flyer there and contact me. I am also a farmer who has a nonprofit organization that started in the United States of America, where I was born. It's called Exodus to Ghana 2019. I've had many experiences in my life where, as a young woman, having a child very young, where I didn't have anything to eat. I have a passion for feeding people. You need to eat, and he needs to eat, and everybody needs to eat. I'm very upbeat. I'm very pop. So I have a 100% community garden going on in the Kumasi area of Ghana. I know people love to focus. I cry. There are very many regions in Ghana. So the community garden is in Kumasi. It is 100%, I'm giving it to you. They don't have to work for it. They don't have to come and give money. You deal with the lands. When the first fruits come, I come and I give it out to those in that area, period. It's very simple. Myself and my husband, we are the ones who own the land, and we just give it out to the community. I'm very big on, when you come from a diaspora or diaspora, however you want to describe that, you need to be giving back to whatever country you came from and you just went into, even if it's something as small as that. So the Exodus to Ghana includes the community garden, as well as a small children's library and technical learning center. I am an educator. I believe children need to be educated on technology at a young age, when that mind is supple and ready and just sucking up everything. And that's when you put it in them, not the nonsense. That's when you talk to them. We have to talk to these kids about AI, honey. It's Terminator 2, honey. It's Skynet going on right now. You need to talk to the children about it, explain to them about coding and things like that while they are children and small, and they will continue. You continue those educations. So those are the community volunteer projects. All of these projects are always looking for volunteers. Dynamite Girls, we are always looking for dedicated facilitators and teachers who want to come and help us teach. I appreciate you giving me your time today. Again, I am Jazara, the educator. I want you to remember Dynamite_girls_GH. That is the fundraiser that's going on right now. I want you to remember that Jazara, the educator, is handling classes. This round of classes is for nonprofits, how to grow your nonprofit business. Just to let you know, I have classes on many, many different subjects. I do finance classes. I trade stocks. So I teach you how to trade stocks. I trade options. I teach you how to trade options. I trade Forex. I teach you how to trade Forex. Legally, real, and without the nonsense that you will find on the internet. So Dynamite Girls, Exodus to Ghana 2019. That is the Instagram handle, Exodus to Ghana, TO. I don't like numbers in between my letters because that's not English, okay? Exodus to Ghana 2019. That is the community farm that we are doing. And me, Jazara the Educator, at Jazara the Educator on Instagram. Thank you very, very much for your time. I have been enjoying myself today. I know some of these people are long-winded, but I'm here to feel the breeze. I'm here to feel the breeze of all this wind. I got my book. I had to put my page about 3-4 times. Okay? So thank you very much. Have a very favorable day. I'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zara. Okay, so next up we have panel 2 being hosted by the amazing Minerva Crenzo.
Hi.
Hi, and featuring panelists Maya, Candice, and actually I joined this panel last minute, so featuring me as well. I'm going to hand over to you, Minerva.
Okay, so panel 2, we're talking about how to sell your education services. So do I have Maya?
Yes, Maya's Glide.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hi,
Maya.
Hi. Hi,
And
how are you?
very well, how are you? I don't see you.
Very well, thank you. Good to see you too.
And Candice?
I'm not sure if Candice is in. I think Candice's connection. I haven't seen Candice. So let's get started. I'm sure she'll rejoin.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so if you start for me, Maya, introduce yourself, tell us a bit about what you do, and then we'll kick off. Oh, you're muted, my love.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'm Maya Yadav, and I'm a chemical engineer. I currently run Glide. We use artificial intelligence to manage general trading. I worked for several years with Unilever in Nigeria and in Kenya. And I understand quite a lot about supply chain and fast-moving consumer goods. And we're basically trying to see how best we can find the cheapest goods and sell at the highest prices to make a good profit using AI analysis and data research.
Awesome.
So that's about it.
Good. How did you get into this?
Well, several years ago, I got this job with Unilever right out of university. And I got to see that we spend it's a $1 billion industry. We spend quite a lot on consumables. Mm-hmm. This morning, you probably used one Unilever product or the other. Not advertising for them, sorry. But I mean your toothpaste, your soaps, your body creams. And these are not things you can recycle. You need to get new ones next week. You need to get another one next month. And it's just, an ending. And so if you're able to get into the fast moving consumer goods market, you find that it's very profitable for a very long time. And that's how I got into it.
Okay. So at this stage, how do you market your business? How do you market and get your customers and create awareness?
Right. Social media has been very, very instrumental in getting our customers. We also use tools like AdSense. Facebook has wonderful sponsored ads for Instagram, for Facebook as well. And you can reach thousands of people very quickly. But what's important is that you want to be able to convert. You can reach 10,000 people, but if only 5 people are buying your products, then you've got to change your plans. So sometimes you might need to do an offline marketing plan. You might have people who, you can set up a multi-level marketing plan whereby your clients tell their friends, you give them a referral bonus or referral fee, and they in turn, tell more friends. So you can have an offline marketing plan, which might work better for you if online isn't as powerful in converting.
Okay, great. So I'm going to call in Tanisha as well, because she's also part of this. So
okay,
Tanisha.
Cool.
Hi, we all know you, but give us a small brief about yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do, especially with LEC.
Okay, so yeah, for those of you who don't know, by day, I'm actually an academic. So I'm a professor in leadership and management. I don't teach anymore, but I'm deputy head of a business school that stretches across 6 different countries. And this year we're moving into our 7th. And they range from UK, Berlin, India, Pakistan, in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi and Sharjah. And this year we're going into Singapore. So that's what I do in the daytime. And of course, for them as well, I build out their entrepreneurship incubator. And then outside of there, I run Apples and Pears. Apples and Pears is a company that exists to provide leaders with the tools that they need to succeed. And over the years, I learned a very funny saying that I got from a book, which is that niches get stitches, which is so funny. But basically, you need to niche down. Like you have to niche down, right? So you can't just say, okay, I support experts. Which kind of experts, right? You've got to niche down. So within Apples and Pears, as we started to realize that, we started to create communities for the different groups of people that we support. And female entrepreneurs is just this huge hub that came about just after the pandemic. A lot of women realized they needed to be self-sustainable. They needed to have a master plan because, of course, their other halves were falling sick or they lost their jobs. And so the amount of female entrepreneurs that came up was just a lot, right? And so I decided, okay, that's a new niche for us. So I made a Ladies Entrepreneurship Club. Like I said before, it was a WhatsApp group. And of course, as time has grown, the need for it has become more and more, the demand has become more and more. And here we are 2 years later, with a much more professional outfit going on. And yeah, that's me really.
Okay, great. So how do you market LEC at this stage?
Yes, I think that's such a good question because it's not really just for, it's a good question. So how we market LEC is actually the Ladies Entrepreneurship Club is actually a very intimate space. I find that whenever we promote events, people call my phone. Like today, I've spoken to about 3 people on the phone, some of which are in the event already. And so there's a very intimate aspect, you know, we use social media, but in as much as we use social media, we use that to create the overall vision so that when someone goes to our Instagram, by scrolling, they can see the panels, the panelists, the vendors, etc. But that is not actually how we make most of our sales. We make most of our sales by directly speaking to people. So we like to try every time we run an event. In fact, events are also a strategy, but I'll get to that in a minute. But every time we run an event or have something going on, we try to tell everyone directly. So like some people here would have already been receiving messages that say like, hi Minerva, we've got an event next week. And Minerva, you know, you've helped us out with that sometimes as well. So we like to be quite direct with our people because our clients like to feel special. They like to feel seen. And I think that a lot of customers do. And I think the reason a lot of people don't do well with digital marketing is because they're just afraid of selling. They're afraid of hearing a no. They're afraid of putting themselves forward and then being rejected. But the customer has to do that. When you approach someone, you tell them to buy, they have to have the guts to trust you and pay. So you have to have the guts to talk to them because that's where they'll earn that trust, right? They'll earn that trust because like when people call me, I'm willing to answer and speak to them and say this and say that and navigate the problems that they've got or what the issue they've got and try and actually help them. So those are all how we sell. And then the last method, which is one of what we're here now doing, is we have a lot of events. And the events that we have, we don't necessarily run the events for sales. We run the events for people who really want to learn the things that we do. But from these events, we gather a lot of content. And then we use that content, repurpose that content to give other people knowledge about what they've missed out on. So we use like fear of missing out a lot. Not because we're trying to create a fake fear of missing out, but because people are missing out. If you think other people are missing out right now, put a number 1 in the chat for me, please. Because every time we gather in the events and every time we have a chat like this, people miss out. Everyone who's thought about coming to this event and hasn't come has already missed out from what was said in panel 1, what was said in our deep dives, everything else. So people do miss out. And so sharing that content back out in bits is how we then do sales. And I think that that's transferable to any education business because people don't know what they're going to learn. They don't know if you're going to be any good, if they're going to get any good information. So you have to give them bite-sized chunks so they can see that for themselves.
Maya, are you still there?
Yes, I am. I
Okay.
am listening into.
Okay, no worries. And along this journey, what are some of the lessons that you've learned that's helped you in terms of being able to sell your business?
Well, a lot of
good
lessons.
Or bad? Yes, good or bad. You can share the bad ones, so those are learning ones.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, just like Tanisha said, you have to have the confidence to earn the trust and not be afraid to hear no. And hearing a no and being rejected several times in a row can be extremely difficult for a lot of people to handle mentally and, you know, psychologically. So you just have to understand that, look, it's a product they're saying no to, not you. And you have to be strong and just keep trying with the next person. As Tanisha said, some products are just better marketed directly to the clients. You might have to recruit people, marketers, to actually talk to your target audience and tell them about your product and answer all the questions. So lots of lessons. You learn to bounce back each time you get a no. Learn to refine and, you know, go back to the drawing board and look at your marketing plan and your strategy. Learn to, you know, just refine the strategy and see what's working and what's not. It's very important to understand how the business is doing with each and every marketing plan. So if you're doing an online marketing plan and you find that this is working really well, don't fix it, it ain't broke, right? But if it's not, try an offline marketing plan, try a referral marketing plan, try a multi-level marketing plan. Don't be afraid to hear no's several times and don't feel bad about that. It's not personal, it's just business. You know, just keep going. And eventually, once you get the word out to as many people as possible and you stay consistent, the trust will be built. People will trust you, they would invest in you. I have lots of people who sell courses online for thousands of dollars to people they've never even met, right? But because you've built a brand consistently over a very long time, you're saying the same thing, you're tweaking it in very interesting ways. People begin to trust you from anywhere in the world, and they can pay thousands of dollars for your products. So just stay strong, and don't give up.
Okay. Tanisha, same question to you.
As in, I was so busy listening to her, I forgot what Mike was.
No problems. I was asking, what are some of the lessons that you've learnt along the journey?
Oh, she was right. It's all about those no's. I mean, I used to think that hearing no was the problem. The problem was that I'm the one that's not saying no. As the entrepreneur, you actually have to be able to say no. What do you say no to? Do you have standards of your own? Because the client has requirements, right? When we sell, ultimately, people are looking for value. They look for 3 types of value. First type of value is intrinsic value. It's like the actual value that we tell them we're going to give them. So let's say, for example, it's brunch and learn. So we all know that. I've got my Prosecco with me. So let's say, for example, this, we know that for a fact, and it's sponsored by Legiosa, right? So let's say this particular glass here, I just like things, right? So we all know if it's gold and it's shiny, Tanisha's going to want to buy it. She's going to want it. This glass is not even that expensive, but it fits in with the intrinsic values that I want, which is what it has the correct shape. I can put an item in it. Yes, it's empty. You haven't actually had a drink or anything yet, but you know, it does the job and it looks good. It's very sturdy, very, very sturdy. So intrinsic values wise is there. As an entrepreneur, the product or service that you're selling are the intrinsic values there, right? When the customer buys, will they get what they're supposed to get? Because a lot of times we all go and buy things and we're very disappointed. And then we can't get a refund on it, right? So when it comes to selling things like education or even physical products, we always have to remember that the customer has standards. And those standards mean that the intrinsic values at the very minimum must be there. The second thing is personal value. So again, I just like things that are gold and shiny and pretty. I just like things. I mean, I have a problem with liking things. So this sits very well with me, with my personal values. But Liz might be like, that is really gaudy and ugly to me. You should get that out of my face. I don't want to see that, right? Because it doesn't sit with her personal values. And so the second type of value that we have to really consider in terms of that no and, you know, our standards is, are we just telling everybody about our products, or are we telling people who this matters to? Like, will my customer, the person I'm talking to, would they feel good saying they went to a ladies entrepreneurship club session, or would they feel a bit embarrassed, right? For example, a lot of men come to our workshops, but they call me first to ask me, can men come? And I say, of course they can. This is not an open event. If it was a private event, you wouldn't have seen the advert in the first place, right? So the personal values are very important, because a lot of times we put customers off because our products and services don't fit with their personal values, but it fits with ours. So we just get confused and we get offended. And that no sounds harsher, right? But it's not harsh. It's important, because even our client has to fit with our personal values. In my company, I have a do not re-engage list. I am not re-engaging a customer that gives me too much heartache and stress, because I'm so sensitive. I wake up at 5 a.m. and start crying about this customer. I've got no time. I'll be sitting there like, why? So I have to, I have to have a do not re-engage list, because my personal values, the way that I want to be spoken to, I want to be handled, I'm quite sensitive. So therefore, I have to have that. And it's the same for the customer. I have to remember the customer has their own personal values going on. And then the third one, which everyone else thinks is the most important, but it's actually the least important, is financial value. Does what you're giving that person in exchange for money, does the value match up, right? Because ultimately people will pay anything for something that does what it's supposed to do, has intrinsic values, and goes with their personal values. Like Dr. Dre headphones, the Beats headphones, they were like $600 for a pair of headphones. They were unnecessarily priced. But one, intrinsically, they gave good sound. They were really good headphones. They look good. And on a personal level, everyone that wanted to be affiliated with hip hop or supporting Black businesses or whatever, they were going to buy it, because it showed that they got ready to spend their money to support a Black entrepreneur. So a lot of times when we hear no, we get very sensitive, when really we're supposed to be thinking in the same way as the customer. And we should also be prepared to say no to the customer. So if someone comes and they want something from your business and you don't want to give it, you should be prepared to say no. So once you get in that space where you have value in your business and your services, and you know that you would easily say no, you don't get offended or upset so much when someone else says no to you, because you respect it, right? So I think that, yeah, the biggest lesson I learned is actually that, because I had to emotionally overcome that, right? I had to emotionally overcome, why do I feel so sad about this no. And then I realized that it's because that person's values, they're showing them, and I haven't yet picked mine, and I haven't defined mine. So that's my listen.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, taking no's, especially being a salesperson as well, it's key. You have to get your no's before you're gonna get your yes. But a lot of the time, just as Maya touched on in the beginning, is understanding your conversion rates, because not everybody's gonna say yes. So if you understand your conversion, you know I need to speak to 100 people just to get one yes, then fine, you understand you have to get through 100. There's narrowing it down to knowing what your conversion is to be able to support those actions. So I wanted to ask you, in terms of marketing and selling, do you have a timeline you work with? Because just as we talked about the no's, do you have a timeline to say, okay, I'm going to run a campaign for this amount of time? Or do you just run the campaign? If it's going well, you stick to it, just as she said, if it's working, don't change it? Or do you switch things up because you just want to be able to interact and engage with different people? How do you go about doing this?
Yeah, well, you have to have a timeline. I'm sorry, is that for me or for Tanisha?
Go ahead, go first, Maya.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for most of my marketing campaigns, I try to have a timeline. Some very, seasonal timelines, for instance, if you had a Valentine promo, for instance, it's a January, February thing. So you have to have a 2-month window whereby you market that particular product or service. Some are seasonal. So if it's a Christmas timeline, for instance, you're selling Christmas products or something, you have to market between maybe September and December. But of course, you have an all year round basic marketing plan, which you try to stick to. Of course, you tweak it every now and then when you see, if it's Halloween, if there's something happening, if there's an emergency somewhere, you want to, if you want to do a nonprofit, for instance, you want to raise funds for refugees, and there's a war somewhere, earthquake, heaven forbid, you have to come up with a different plan for nonprofits, for sudden emergencies in the world or around you in your local community. So yes, of course, most of the campaigns have to be time bound, and you can measure very quickly. So if you start January 1st talking about roses you want to sell, or service, how to, do something for Valentine's, then by the 13th of February, that campaign is done. And you can look back and say, okay, I had 43 days to market this, and was it successful or not? And then you can tweak it for next year or something. These are just very basic examples, but absolutely time your campaigns, make them socially relevant. So if there's something happening in the world, which could be, which is significantly in the news, try to tie that campaign to that. And just try your best to make sure you measure the success of every single campaign you have. And there's nothing wrong with changing it up, if it's not working. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, is actually measuring. I was going to say, agree with you. Measuring is the most important part, because most of the time you probably run a campaign and you don't look at the results. What did I put in? What did I gain back? Was there a return on my investment? It's just like moving from one to the other, to the other, to the other, and you don't realize what works. So Tanisha, looks like Maya's run away.
No, that's fine. What was I going to say? Yeah, so for me and for us, we run a constant awareness campaign. So we're constantly making people aware that we exist. But when it comes to selling something, we're kind of like last minute quick burst sales. For now, that's because the nature of the space that I'm in physically is Ghana. And then Ghana, my people love last minute. Hey, Jesus Christ, that's right. It doesn't matter if I start 2 weeks before, they'll call me on the date.
Yeah, sure.
So I learned my lessons. I learned that it's smarter to just keep making people aware, keep providing value. So instead of pushing sales all year round, I don't do that. I push value all year round. I push content all year round. I push information all year round. And I focus us on getting better at understanding if people see this to be of value. And I think that, if anyone scrolls through our Instagram, or even if people have seen the different versions of our websites and our offerings, you can see that it's very obvious that people have complained about something or mentioned something. We have made changes to adjust that. or it's clear that people have clearly shown a sign of enjoying something and we've increased on that. So that awareness campaign means that we're also getting a lot of feedback. And so what we're doing is we're measuring the sentiments of our audience. So I know how much members and our audience now, for example, are actually likely to be vegan. I know what percentage of people are likely to be interested in this and interested in that. I know a lot of data because the content I put out is not about selling, it's about awareness, right? When I'm going to sell, the selling strategy is not in that digital plan. So yeah, so I'm last minute with mine. I'm also last minute because most people don't like to forward plan, right? Most sales for any seasonal event happen just before the day. Valentine's Day, everyone's buying their stuff on the day, even me stuff this Valentine's Day. I was here ordering cake at 3 p.m. Okay. So everyone is busy doing the thing last minute. So therefore, I try to just work on that awareness early enough so people know we have things in mind for that day. And then when that period of time comes along, I'm like, all right, guys, January sale, membership, 50% off, right? But I wouldn't start talking about that in October. So that's the approach that I use.
So you understand your customers, so that's why you use that approach.
Yeah, it's not necessarily I understand them, but it's like, I feel like them being aware of all of our offerings is more important than them buying one item. Because if someone's aware that we are a supermarket and, you know, we sell chicken, we don't have, then that, for me, that's better because they know we are both a supermarket and that we sell chicken. As opposed to if I just say to people, buy my chicken, buy my chicken, buy my chicken, and they know I sell chicken, but they don't realize I'm a whole supermarket. Yeah, because, you know, statistically, I'm not sure if the numbers are the same, but people have to come in touch with your brand about 8 times before they'll trust it enough to buy when it's online.
Okay.
Because, you know, people get frauded online, there's always scams, people get cloned, and just sometimes people just provide a bad service, you know. So people are very anxious about online spend. So that awareness is more important. You see Ladies Entrepreneurship Club about 8-9 times. By the time Ladies Entrepreneurship Club says, hey, do you want to come to our event? You might not want to come, but you don't feel like a stranger has approached you.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And it's brand equity as well at the same time.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Because of time, so one thing you would give as an advice for anybody who's selling their business online. One thing as an advice you would advise for anybody who's selling their business online, educational business.
I'll go quickly and then Maya, you can go next. For me, I think advice for someone selling their business online is like, get over it. The sales are low in the beginning, just like, it's fine, just chill, no stress, keep it moving. But what happens with online is when the growth comes, it's exponential, right? Because it's a trickle in the beginning because trust, sentiment, you know, loyalty, all of those things. But once someone likes what they bought from you, if you're offering those 3 types of value, right? If the things you sell do what they're supposed to do, they'll become return customers, and return customers are the best. And virtually is always the easiest for people to repurchase something.
Awesome. Maya?
Right. I'd say engage. If you get a DM, engage immediately, reply to all comments, read everything online, just engage with every single, you know, person who sends you a message. You never know when, you know, that will lead to a sale. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, ladies. It's been fun. Yeah, you're muted.
Thank you. So I think next we have Mavis for her 8-minute deep dive.
Okay. Mavis, over to you.
There we go.
Hey. All right,
Mavis,
guys. So
please give everyone a little background of yourself before you start, okay?
Of course. So my name is Mavis. I'm with Balanced Body and Mind. I am a physiotherapist and a master coach. We are a boutique training program that include balance. We include flexibility, mobility, and of course, physiotherapy, and all the other parts or elements of training. So we have strength and conditioning, we have endurance coaching, agility coaching, whatever your want or your needs are, we provide it, okay? I've been in Ghana for about 2.5 years now, and still travel between the UK and the States. And throughout that time, COVID happened. And I was very hands-on before with my business because of physio, exceptionally hands-on. Because if I have a patient that has a hip injury or a lower back injury, I have to be with them to be able to ascertain what's going on with your bodies. But then COVID happens, and of course, everything went haywire, and I had to kind of pivot to figure out how I was going to scale my business if my one-to-one business wasn't working out. So immediately, of course, I took some courses online to try and figure out how to scale the business online, and even if I could. And one of the things that I realized was learning my niche. And Tanisha made such a huge point of that. And I just wanted to touch up on that a little bit more, because I was all over the place, right? I'm a master coach, I'm physiotherapy, I do this, I do that, I do this. But I needed to slim down, or actually not even slim down, but finite what it was that I wanted to focus on the most. And one of the things that my target demographic wanted to be, I wanted my target demographic to be, was women. And what kind of women? Was professional women, women who are in a rush, women that are busy, women that are always on the go. So I created this 30-minute online sessions really, really quickly to get you what you need in the most efficient way. And on top of that, I also created an educational part of the program where I taught other trainers how to do the same thing. So other trainers, especially in Ghana, in the Ghana market, to learn how to do this properly. Because a lot of times, as we know, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to a trainer before who didn't know what they were doing, had no idea how to deal with a knee problem or a lower back problem or shoulder issue. So that part of my career also started with the online business. So just 5 ways of how to thrive with your online business to make sure that you're covering all of the basis, so that way you're a little bit more successful than you are now. And if you're not doing it, increase your accessibility. So with me, my accessibility is on Instagram, right? It's also on WhatsApp. It's also on instant messaging, basically being able to send old clients, new clients, and potential clients what I'm doing right now. So I post workouts every single day, little bits of workouts, informational workouts that will actually reach the potential client that I'm looking for at any part of the world globally, right? Because what you want to do is be able to touch someone who is in Saudi Arabia, or touch someone who is all the way in Minnesota, right? And that, I believe, that will give you what you're looking for initially to get you started. The next one is your flexibility. To be able to be flexible, you have to allow yourself to be able to work with the client the way they want to be worked with, right? So for example, let's just say your client says, you know what, 7 o'clock doesn't work for me. You have a 7 o'clock, slot open. She can't work with that. So you have to be able to allow yourself to be flexible, and being an online coach will be able to allow you to actually flex those muscles, right? You're in home, they're at the comfort of their own home. So you're able to manage that time a little bit better. With offline business, it's difficult because a lot of times you're in traffic, or you are on the road to that client when the client calls you and tells you, I can't do it, or I need to change my timeline. The flexibility there is very stiff, right? So to be able to have that, kind of bridge with the online business helps me to scale my business even more. The next part will be, let me get my notes done. The next part will be reduce costs, right? So obviously, when you are offline and you're meeting your client for the first time, your costs may be double the amount, because you have to factor in traffic, you have to factor in, if you have a storefront, you have to factor in all these, products that you use to be able to get to that client. So the obvious prices are a lot more, right? With online business, you're able to cut that cost in half and still manage to have double the amount of client space, right? If I'm making sense. So if I have one client, it takes me 2 hours to get to that client. This is offline. If I have a client online, I'm able to get to that client and see 3 more clients within that 2-hour time frame, right? So reduce cost is great for the client, but it's also great for the business. And then ability to be able to scale. Obviously, I touched up on that earlier. If you are online, your scalability and your reach is a little further, right? Because you become a bit more global, more international, and you're able to be able to touch that person wherever they are, okay? And give them the thing that they need at any point in their lives, right? As far as staff is concerned, you only need 1 or 2 people when you're online, right? So that also brings your costs down, right? When you're offline, you have to hire 2 or more people, 1 for your admin, 1, I don't drive, so I have to have a driver to be able to get me around. So that, and then of course your storefront, somebody to look after the storefront. So I believe that scalability is key, especially when you are online. All right. And of course, efficiency. Your efficiency is so important because once you're online, you've limited your time, right? And you're able to give the client exactly what they need. You're able to streamline the processes so you can work with the client more efficiently and maximize your time and their time, right? And so it's super key to factor in that. I actually think that the efficiency should be the top, especially when you're dealing with a customer service business like I am, because when you're not efficient, your client is not going to buy into the product, right? When your product is not efficient, you're not able to reach the demographic that you want to reach, especially the target market that you have set for yourself. So I believe strongly that online is key. I mean, you should be able to pivot when the need arises, but I have built a bridge between my online and my offline business that allows my online clientele to still be able to see me offline and vice versa, right? So that allows me to be able to have more earning potential, right? When you're able to do that, then you have succeeded in creating a well-rounded business. And for me, I mean, it's still a work in progress, to be fair, because of the Ghana market, the online business, scaling your business online for the Ghana market is still a very new thing. And we're getting there, but we are still kind of like behind. So I'm working on trying to bridge the gap, especially with my offline business and my online business. And so final key point to this will be just a few things that you can do to be able to help bridge that gap between your offline business and your online business. First thing that you have to do is use one to promote the other, okay? The second thing is to encourage your offline customers to go online, and I mentioned that earlier. The third thing is to set up relevant types of dedicated tracking. So for instance, for me, I set up your tracking, so meal planning, etc. So you have to be able to see me to do a consultation to see how far you've gotten along, right? And so that kind of bridged the gap there. And then the fourth one is use a consistent design across the board. So for me, my color, for example, is orange, as you can see. Love the color, it pops. I use it on my Instagram, I use it on my Facebook, I use it on my WhatsApp, and I also use it with my offline business. And so the moment you see my logo, you see the color, you know that it's, balanced body and mind. And the final one is to use incentives to attract specific audience, right? And so obviously for me, I use my mini workouts, my informational posts, and obviously my customer service, right? And so with a first-time consultation, I never leave it to chance where they book online. The moment you book me, I call you, I reach out to you. That personal touch is what I use to also bridge that gap between that online and offline experience. And so I want to thank you, Tanisha, LEC, and I also want to mention one more thing. One thing that I learned and actually love this girl for tremendously is my admin skills have completely changed, right? Because I was having such a tight schedule, and to be able to accommodate my admin, to be able to work with my online, offline business, I needed to have a streamlined admin without having to scale and hire someone. I decided to do it on my own. And so I asked Tanisha, I was like, what do? How do you manage to get all of your, and obviously Tanisha has help, but I don't have help. So I was like, well, give me some tools on how I can do this. She quickly goes through a Canva presentation of how I can boom, boom, bosh, send a presentation out to a client, send a quick informational post to Instagram, to Facebook, to across all social media platforms. And sis, I just want to thank you for that, because that has changed the game for my time. My business has changed the face of how my professionalism, the face of my professionalism is changed the game for me. So I just wanted to shout you out for that, and to also just let everybody know that's listening that the tools are the key, right? If you can find that one thing that you find hard to do in your business, for me, it was admin, okay? You cannot have me sit in front of a computer. I just don't do that. I'm too, focused on my work and that one-to-one, whether it be online or offline, that I don't have the time to really focus on the admin part. And that's what LEC brings to the table, is that they give you the tools to be able to connect with your audience better, right? And I just appreciate that so much. And so thank you guys for listening. You can reach out to me on balancebody_minds. And of course, you can always email me, bbmhealthwellness@gmail.com. My WhatsApp details are also on the platform. So you can always text me. I'm quick with response. I don't leave you hanging, okay? I respond really quickly. So please, please, please reach out to me. And listen, I'm here to answer any questions. Just because you reach out to me doesn't mean that you have to pay for anything, yeah? The information is there. Just reach out and make sure that you do, because before you even commit to a business, you have to do your vetting work. And by asking questions, you'll be able to get the information you need before you commit to that business. So thank you guys for listening. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. And no, that's really key. And I think that I just want to say that we actually have a workshop coming up all about tools, and it's actually AI empowered entrepreneurship. So in a couple of months, I think it's because next month, I believe, is fashion and beauty. The one afterwards, we're going to be going into all of that stuff, like how to use automation and artificial intelligence when you don't necessarily have manpower, or it's just something that you're doing directly and it's not a manpower situation. But thank you so much, Mavis. We have reached the time for panel 3. We have reached panel 3, which means Mel is here. Hello, Mel.
Hi, Tanisha. So good to see you as always. Can you hear me okay?
Pardon?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can. We can hear you. We can see you in full color. Looking good. So Mel's panelists for this particular conversation is Jazara, who we met before because Jazara did a talk, a short talk. And then we've got Natasha Dadzi. And Natasha is, so Jazara's in Ghana, Natasha's in Ghana, but Elizabeth Taki, Liz is in the UK. And so, yeah, I'm gonna hand it over to you for panel 3 for profit and not for profit.
Thanks so much. Great to see everybody on the call today. It's been an amazing session. So let's jump right in. Excited to be hosting panel 3. My name is Melissa Nsia. I'm the director of portfolio for MEST Africa. I also do a plethora of other things, including business coaching, development, work, strategy, and really advocating for women and youth in engineering and tech. So really excited to introduce our panelists today, focusing on for-profit or not-for-profit. They'll tell us a little bit about when to know, which business model to shift towards. I'd like to start with a quick introduction from each of my panelists. And I'll start with Elizabeth, if you can just tell us a little bit about what you do and what you like to do in your free time.
Hi, everyone. My name's Elizabeth Techi. Tanisha is Techi, it's not Taki. Right.
And the worst thing is, it's a
everybody else says Taki, but it's Techi. All right, here we go, Techi. Yeah. So Elizabeth Techi is my name. I'm based in the UK, born and bred in the UK, so I live here. I'm actually a little bit ashamed that I haven't been to Ghana in the last 25 years. This is really embarrassing.
Elizabeth, talk about that later. We'll talk about that.
Very shameful, but here we are. So I used to run an organization 6.5 years ago, and the organization, it was known as A to I Dyslexia. So we work with dyslexics to get into startups, education, and also employability. Myself, I've got dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, whatever, all the dyses you can think of. So I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD, and also I have another condition called Erlen syndrome, visual stress, which is when I'm reading on white, black and white, all the words will disappear off the page. So just in case, you might see me from time to time put on my dyslexia glasses so I can see better. Every time I wear this, people think I'm a celebrity. I'm not. I'm just Elizabeth. Okay.
Thanks so
Right.
much for telling us a little bit about yourself, Elizabeth. And just for anyone on the call, if you're not speaking, kindly do mute your mic for us. I'll move right on to Natasha, if you can just quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do as well.
Hello. Good. I'm happy to be here and happy to run through this session with you. My name is Natasha Datsy. Unfortunately, I can't share my video because my network is messing up big time. I've left and joined this call more than 10 times today. So unfortunately, I can't share the video, but I'm hoping that my voice would do the trick. So I currently I'm working as the manager for the Ashesi Venture Incubator, joining Ashesi to reach its mission of creating ethical entrepreneurial leaders. My background is with business management, a little bit of accounting, and then project management. I've run projects in areas of entrepreneurship, education, youth excellence, business excellence, and then youth development. I'm very passionate about social development also, so I try as in my role as an incubator manager or new venture specialist to create businesses that do good while doing well. And I believe I'll have the opportunity and the platform to talk about that more during the panel discussion. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Natasha. And thanks for just diligently trying to still stay on the call. We appreciate that. Jazara, do I have you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe something we don't know as well.
So thank you so much. It's so fabulous to be here. I am Jazara. Outside of Jazara, the educator, to which I hold my bachelor's degree in education as well as in business. So I do nonprofit business as well as for-profit business in the educational sector. I am also an international as well as a celebrity fashion designer, as well as a bass player and a singer, as well as a farmer. So these are the other things that I do. So I perform around the world. I have a whole production where I do my fashion shows. I'm also the fashion curator for the Miss Black America pageant. I love fashion and fashion loves me. And I try to integrate all of it at the same time. It's like if I'm having an event, I'm trying to educate and music and fashion. If I can get all three in one session, then it's a super success. And I do it often. It's a large production that I'll do. The band will play, I will talk, and then the fashion show happens. So you've been educated, edutainment, all of that all at once. I'm very passionate about community service and teaching, and I am happy to give any information today that can help someone. I've been in the nonprofit sector for more than 15 years. My education business is both working nonprofit and working for profit. So I see the two differences in the two, and hopefully someone can get something from me the same way I've been getting stuff from y'all all day.
Thanks so much. And I mean, thanks for sharing what you do on a personal level. It'll be good to hear about whenever you have any of these type of events coming up. I get the fashion side. I could see that. The bass player was a little bit of a surprise, but just multifaceted. Thank you. But let's start right with you, Jazera, because you did talk about your experience on both sides of the fence, right? Both the for-profit and not-for-profit. So let's start just understanding what is the real difference between running a for-profit versus a not-for-profit educational business?
I think one of the biggest differences is like purpose and funding. When you are working for a for-profit business, the bottom line is the money. Okay. When you have someone who is coming to a normal job, they don't have any skin in the game. They just want their paycheck. So they're just doing what they need to do to get that bottom line. When you're working for nonprofit, it's more about the mission, it's more about the community, and then it's about the money. So the mindset is different. The people who you have to have on your team, you can't just hire someone or just pick anyone. They have to be in alignment with what you're doing in your nonprofit so they can stay sustainable within your nonprofit. If it's for profit, you just need to give them a paycheck. You know, it's not about anything. They will just do whatever you tell them to do for a check. Once you get to the other side, it gets a little bit deeper. You have to make sure that you're really vetting your volunteers, donors, board members, and everything in a completely different way.
Thank you for that. Natasha, if I have you there, I'd actually pose a similar question to you. The main difference that you find in running a for-profit versus a not-for-profit educational business.
Oh, I was just going to say exactly what Desiree said, and because I feel like the purpose is really it plays like that dominant role in creating a parity between a nonprofit and then a nonprofit and then a for-profit organization. Largely, if you're looking really on a broad spectrum, you're looking at the implications of tax, of governance, of business activities. Largely, it's depending on the structure that you're looking to create. So if you're looking at a nonprofit organization, just like Gisela just mentioned, you're looking at solving a social issue. You're looking at providing some public benefit to the general public. So you're talking about hospitals, you're talking about universities, national charities, foundations. All these people are standing out with their main vision to serve a public benefit. When you're skewing towards for profit, it's mainly about making the money.
Bottom line. So let me ask you, Natasha, in terms of operations, right? So actually running the business, for profit and not for profit, big difference there, or are there more similarities on that side?
When it comes to running, I think I just like to piggy on what I just said. It's a lot around the structure of the organization and who you are either communicating to or you're engaging. Now, with for-profit organizations, you're usually engaging your shareholders. With non-profit organizations, you're really engaging your stakeholders. Now, when you're running a nonprofit, the donors want to see what their money is doing or their funds is doing for the community. When you're running a for-profit organization, stakeholders want to make more money. So they want to leverage on different players in the market in order for them to see the value of monetizing whatever profit or service. So I think that it all boils down on your purpose, that is your why, which is very important, your how, and then the team that you bring on board, and then the resources that you have at play in order for you to run an for-profit or not-for-profit organization.
Great. And Elizabeth, I'd like to hear a little bit from you in terms of just non-for-profit side and how you're able to, how businesses are able to fund these type of businesses. How do you search for sponsors? I would also assume that on that side, are there differences or similarities in terms of a for-profit business could be looking more for investors for the business, whereas non-for-profit is more looking for sponsors or donors? Are those processes similar, quite different?
I just want to sort of exactly what is it Gisara? Is that Gisara?
Yes,
Have I said that right? Yeah. And what Natasha said is exactly the same situation. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I really take my hat off to anybody who works in a not-for-profit organization. It can be the most stressful, the most demanding industry to work in. Now, I'm going to put my hands up. 6 years later, I thought, I can't do this anymore. I've got severe dyslexia. I'm struggling every day, trying to make ends meet here. It's not for me. It breaks my heart, but I had to let go. I had to let go now. I've got, I am also in education. I'm a lecturer, and I also have a degree in human resource management. So I've decided to actually go and do consultancy work. I do really give these ladies, I take my hat off to them. It's one bit of a nightmare for me. And it did break my heart to walk away, but I had to. Now you asked me,
what was the most difficult part about it? Like what really was that deciding factor for you?
For me, I think if I'm going to be really honest, I had a mission and I had a vision, and I wanted to work with that. But sometimes, your directors and your board of members and trustees are not kind of singing on the same hymn book as you. So you might be going one direction, they're thinking, actually, this might be the best way to do it. That's one area. The other area was, particularly in the UK, and if anybody's here and they live in the UK, it's quite competitive in terms of not-for-profit organizations and charities. I couldn't write my own bids and I couldn't write my own funding because of my hidden disabilities. So I was relying on other people to write that for me, and they did that to the best of their ability. But sometimes you finish running a project and you've got to write this massive evaluation of the 14, 15,000 people that you managed to, help along the way. Now, I know I've done that, but it was difficult for me to actually grasp that and put that on paper for our funders, one. And two, it's just, to be honest with you, not all companies may actually have the data for you, because sometimes you're so focused on what you want to do because you've got this passion to help so many people. And like Natasha rightly said, it's a social impact. And we did that. We serve over 13,500 dyslexics, in the UK. But wow. I was really finding the governance and the paperwork and it's just too much. It was too much. It was
quite overwhelming. So that begs the question, do we feel that not-for-profit business models are sustainable in the long run? And I'm going to pose that to Jazeera to get us started there.
Me personally, I believe they are sustainable. However, sustainability in any business, profit or nonprofit, is questionable in 2023. Let's keep it a bean, folks. Unless you're a robot, like one of these robots that's going on right now, unless you straight up in some AI or something like that, you better reevaluate your business models. Okay, and especially for nonprofits, because we do rely mostly on people. Okay, we rely on people, we rely on relationships, we rely on having really great board members and board trustees and people like that who care about our mission and are willing to like put their hands in it in a good way. So I believe it is sustainable, but in order for it to be sustainable, you really have to be committed. You have to understand that there are competitors everywhere who are trying to get the same resources that you are after. A lot of that, because I hold classes to teach people how to be successful in their nonprofit. The big portion of that is development. The big portion is, who are you bringing in as your donors? Do they really care? Is your mission resonating with them? Once you kind of hone in on that and your writing skills, sometimes in the nonprofit organization, you can have the best ideas ever. Your mission is great. You're trying to save the world, and somebody can't write it correctly. The people that you hired, they didn't, convey the message properly, that they missed the bullet points, and you missed out on a lot of money. So I believe it's definitely sustainable if you are responsive to the changes, if you can be adaptable, if you can understand that there are competitors. So you have to really keep your education up on exactly what the funders are looking for. And another big thing about being sustainable is knowing that those who donate to you, because everyone knows that nonprofit is heavily reliant on donors, we call them big picture donors, big money donors. You have to make them feel important, like, oh my God, I can't run this thing without you. You are everything to this organization. Send them letters. Save your money and throw them a little party. It's little things that they want to feel like they are a part of. They want to feel that you are listening to them. And you will have the same repeat donors. That donor retention is what will give you the sustainability.
Yeah, so let me touch on that just a little bit. In terms of, well, donor retention, I think is great, but how do you really attract the right donors, right? If you're someone who's interested in running a not-for-profit educational business model, where do you start, right? Where do you look? And I think I'll start.
I'm sorry, you have to take your time and do the research. You have to look for the organizations, first of all, that's donating to the type of cause that you're already doing. That's first. You're going to look outside, but first you look at someone. I do education for young girls. So the first thing I'm going to look at is those who donate to organizations who are helping women and girls. So you kind of expanded some. And once you get into once you have your clearances, there are, programs that you can go into and you can see exactly who these big money people are donating to. So first you start with that. It's like, they love it. You know that they love to donate to children. So you do that. Then you look at the ones that should love it. You look at those who are maybe doing something that involves something that you're doing, and maybe they just need to see like, oh, like for instance, someone who sells children's clothing. You might not immediately think that they're selling clothing. They're a big clothing brand, blah, 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 blah. But you notice that they always have ads for children's clothes. There's children in the brand and children. You need to go approach them. Be like, you know, there's a lot more that you can do for them. And these are some things that we're doing to try to expand it. So it has to do with a lot of dedication and research. And you have to put the time in.
Great. And Natasha and Elizabeth, let me bring you in on that conversation as well. Anything to add there? And then I want to talk a little bit about for-profit.
So yes, let me just go in quickly. I just want to add a little bit more to what Jazara just said. I think that it is important, or I would say necessary for nonprofit organizations to look for funding, resources, sponsors, in the form of partnerships or collaborations with organizations that are doing similar to what you are looking to do. Because sometimes you're going out there, yes, you have a little bit of money, but you're looking for big money to do big things. Look for organizations that are doing exactly what you're doing, but they're doing it on a larger scale, and then tap into collaborations, tap into partnerships, so that you can tap into their resources and be able to, of course, contribute to the mission that you're looking to stand in for. There are also organizations, just like Jazara said, that are working in the same social areas that you are also working. Tap into them and look for funding in those organizations. There may not be funder groups or how do you call it, but even you might also find financial institutions or financial groups that are also looking to work with people in the areas that you are working in. And for the purpose of this conversation, we're talking about education, and look for organizations that are looking to contribute to some form of an educational project. And those are also ways that you can tap into funding resources. So I've spoken about the resource part, tapping into resources, partnerships, collaborations, and then funding. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about for-profit, right? Because there are many schools of thoughts that believe that, you know, education should be free, right? I think globally, there are many discussions going on even as we speak about certain institutions being too profitable, right, off of education. So what are our thoughts there in terms of really for-profit models around education? And I'll start with you, Elizabeth. I know you've crossed over recently, but I just love to hear your thoughts on that.
To be honest with you, I just wanted to kind of just agree with Jazara and Natasha. Exactly everything they've explained in terms of collaboration and all the things that they were talking about, we did it. We have some big donors out there. We have some really great organizations that used to support us with our with our projects. But I think in life, it comes to a certain point where one has to move on to certain things. And that was it for me. I just really wanted to make that clear. You know, I couldn't, it was difficult for me to continue, but I have a different project that I'm working on now, just so that people that are listening doesn't feel that, you know, working for a not-for-profit organization is overwhelming and that's the end of it. It's not the end of it, because Jazara and Natasha is a typical example of that. For me personally, I think because of my hyperactivity and dyslexia and other things, it was time for me to move on, to do something else. So going back to your question, for-profit organization. Do you know what? I'm going to actually pass on that one. I don't think I'm really maybe the best person to speak to in terms of for-profit, because a lot of my work was more, the group we served was more the social arm rather than the business. Even though it was a CIC, we got more funding to help the community to do with dyslexia than we did in terms of business income that we were actually getting. So I'm going to actually pass on that one because I may not be the expert.
Thank you. So let me open it up to either Jazira or Natasha, who I think have some more experience on both sides of that wheel.
So when it comes to for-profit education, once again, I do both. So you don't have the stress of looking for money. There's a different dynamic to it once you are for-profit, and that's your tuitions, fees, and who can afford those tuitions and fees. And unfortunately, when it comes to for-profit, first of all, there's no such thing as something that's too profitable. If you're profitable, let's go. okay? Because every single business goes up and goes down. I don't care who it is. It comes up and it goes down. So if you happen to have a nice hill you climbing, don't worry, it'll get low for you. So just the fact that you're able to sustain a profitable education business is that work. But some of the situations you run into is it clashes with the nonprofit because you want to help those people who sometimes can't afford those classes. But if you're charging, now you have someone like me who has a degree who wants a certain amount of money, and I'm not trying to hear anything less than that. So you can't wait for a grant to come in that's going to pay for classes. You have to say, okay, then we got to charge, $2,000 for classes because we have to, compensate those people who are relevant and definitely educated to do the work. So it has a lot to do with how you end up with the type of clients that you're going to have. It definitely will structure your clients based on, because now you're based off of tuition fees and things like that, more of that. Yes, you can get grants for profit, organizations. However, we know that it doesn't happen as often as for nonprofit. But within the balance, that's kind of another reason why sometimes for-profit can make you more money, because people who have that type of money, they're willing to continue to pay for those classes and they have it. So it's not an issue of trying to borrow or get it from somewhere else. So you can't make too much money.
Thank you. And we are getting towards the end of our panel, and I'd like each of you to really have a minute to really just share some tips and tools, whether it be more your experience on the not-for-profit or the for-profit side. And I'll start with Natasha, final words.
Okay, okie dokie. Well, for some very interesting reason, at Ashesi, I work with businesses to help run a little bit of a hybrid model, a little bit of profit, a little bit of impact through a unified strategy. So I'm a little bit biased on taking one stance. However, education is deemed as one of the most progressive and fast-growing sectors worldwide. It is profitable because there are like a wide range of possibilities to monetize in that area. And in the same vein, there are a wide range of opportunities to make impact. So I would advise young entrepreneurs out there to take that chance. Either way you want to go, just do your research right. Do the work you need to do so that you get your foundation strong enough to enter markets and leverage on technology and then reach out to people worldwide. So I don't think that people should be barred by borders now. Monetize the products that you can monetize from education. Use both online and then in person or physical means to be able to make good money. And I feel that will help you succeed in the education space. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks so much. Thanks a lot. Elizabeth, we'll move on to you.
I just wanted to say, if there's anybody here who's really thinking of setting up in the UK, I know it as a CIC stroke not-for-profit organization, I'd say go for it. Go for it. Don't listen to me sort of thinking that it's really overwhelming and I've stepped to one side. Go for it. The reason why I say go for it, there is nothing in this world as helping somebody who was trying to get to a certain point in life, whether it's education, whether it's their personal life, whatever it might be. I mean, today we're talking about education, and you've actually helped that person to overcome that barrier. You can't put a price on it, honestly. And working for A2I Dyslexia, we help many dyslexics, particularly for Black and ethnic minority groups, who possibly would never have spoken about the hidden disability dyslexia, or maybe even they might feel ashamed to talk about that. But they managed to come to us for the help they needed. They managed to go to education, they managed to do the university, they managed to graduate, and they managed to get a job. And for me, you can't put a price on that. So I would say if anybody here is wants to set up a not-for-profit organization, 100% go for it. Join Jazara's classes. I hope I pronounced that right. Or the event that she's going to run, Jazara's event for CICs and not-for-profit. Join that classes, go and learn so much that you can learn and really go for it, because there's true job satisfaction in running a not-for-profit.
Thanks so much for that encouragement, Elizabeth. That's excellent. And Jazira, I'm going to let you have the final word. Just any quick word of advice to our panelists interested in either the not-for-profit or for-profit side of education business?
Yes, I would say, first of all, thank you so much. I would say that at the end of the day, educate yourself. Whether you're going to do it for profit or whether you're going to do it for nonprofit, educate yourself on the needs of what you are going to need. Don't go blindly thinking that your idea is so fabulous that people are just going to be falling all over it. I don't care what it is. You have to educate yourself on exactly what it is. Have a strong mission statement. Know exactly what it is that you're going to do so you know how to educate yourself. And when it comes to nonprofit, try to remember that you are helping people. It helps. I mean, some days that's the only thing that'll get you through the denial of a grant is like, I'm going to push through because there are 67 little girls in my class every Wednesday who are, Auntie Jazara. I have to push through for them. I have to keep on trying for them. So keep your heart involved, be smart, do your education, come to my class. I'll walk it through and I talk plenty. I don't have time for nonsense. I will tell you exactly what you need to do and how to do it so you can be successful. I don't have time for nonsense. We're trying to learn here. We're trying to progress in this thing and make it work. So good luck to you, and all of the high vibrations I have, I push it your way.
We give thanks. Thank you so much, Jazira, Natasha, and Elizabeth. Thank you so much to my panelists and to everyone in the audience. I'm passing the mic back to Tonisha.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. It's been really good. That was an amazing panel. It's 2 minutes to our planned completion time, but I just think that the overrun is fine. It's not an issue because we've had so many gems. So the last speaker we have is Geeta. So Geeta's going to talk to us, and she's going to focus on actually the role of education in our journeys as entrepreneurs, right? So that's what Geeta's going to do for us. So if you could take over, are you ready?
Yes. Hi, thanks. Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. It's been, wow, an amazing, what, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Yeah. Lots of inspiration, lots of learning that I've done right here. For just this 2.5 hours, I've learned a lot. In my presentation and my dive is slightly a little bit different because I find myself in the midst of educators, in the midst of so much knowledge. And here I am in all my modesty. I'm a life coach, I'm an executive coach, and I'm still progressing and educating myself and learning to develop myself further into a master coach in the next few months. How did I get here and what is my story? So this is what I'm going to talk to you about right now. And so, like I said, my name is Geeta. I've lived in Ghana all my life. I consider myself a Ghanaian. I'm originally from Lebanon. I've been a wife and a mother for many, many years until I identified myself as a life coach and an executive coach, 3 years ago. Although I started in this journey almost 10 years ago. So just if tech could, the slides, please. Exactly. So I also own a coaching company called Intentional Change. I established this company actually during COVID times, where I found myself, okay, we're locked down, what next? What will I do? And I decided to put all that I've learned into action. And I created this company and started coaching online. But what's most important today for me to share with you is that how did I get here and the mindset behind it? So when I say I'm a life coach, I help people in different life situations. But basically, I focus on the mindset and I focus on the empowerment because it's coming from my personal journey. It's coming from my personal experience. At a very young age, in my last year of college, I got a call from my parents saying that my mom had terminal cancer and I had to leave everything to come and be by her side here in Ghana, you know, and to take care of her. And so I left university in my last year. I came to Ghana, stood and you know, took care of my mom for 3 years before she passed away. And then after that, you know, a year later, I got married. I was never able to go back to university. I don't have a degree. But I think I've achieved a lot. And today I can say I'm a successful entrepreneur. How did I do that? So in the process, I had my kids. And sometime after my third child, I found myself in depression. So I had to explore and dig deep and find out what is going on with me. And what I have here in front of us talks about human needs. So, you know, I'm combining this presentation with a little bit of what I've learned, because really the mindset and the way we think, and listening to each one of you today, I can see the drive of our needs and how they are behind our behaviors and our decisions and the impact that we give. And so at that time, the need that I was struggling with was the need to grow. I was stuck, right? I left university. I took care of my mom. She passed away. I got married, a happy life with my husband, great kids, but what next and what's for me? And so the question was, should I grow or get stuck? Do I remain stuck in my rut? But there's no life without growth. Like they say, and like my mentor and my teacher, Tony Robbins, says, when you stop growing, you die. And literally at that time, I found myself just uninterested in anything anymore. So if you want to take an advantage of any opportunity, you're all educators here and you would agree with me. Any opportunity and for any success, we need to learn. But things come in the way. Our beliefs come in the way. Our beliefs are capable of destroying us or building us. But what stops us is our limiting belief. And trust me, I had so many of them. So many of them because I was older, you know? I was in my late 30s. I don't have time was one of my beliefs. I can't afford it. How would I understand all this if I haven't been in college and university for so many years? Everyone is ahead of me. Who's going to be listening to me? How am I going to show up? I'm not good enough and it's too late for me. But then I decided to step out of this comfort zone of mine and find out more about what's going on out there and who can help me. And that's where I landed on self-development, personal development. And I went into NLP. I did NLP practitioner, basic practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming. I learned about the human mind and the mindset and the power of our beliefs. I went on into the master practitioner of the neuro-linguistic programming. From there, I advanced into cognitive behavior therapy, where I started working with people with, you know, behavioral problems. And then I got stuck again. So what next? And I discovered this great human being called Tony Robbins, who says the only thing that keeps stopping you is the story that you keep yourself, that you keep telling yourself. And so I asked myself the question, what is my story today? And what do I want my story to be tomorrow? So I researched life coaching online with Tony Robbins. I went to his, you know, Unleash the Power Within. I dug deep. I took his courses. I studied for many, many months. I stayed up at night because all the classes were live just like this with the US. So the family would be sleeping and I'm studying. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I was coaching business people who had a master's degree and who had several degrees, and I had none. And so this was a huge stepping stone for me and the most inspiration, not to just myself, to my kids, because through my growth, I was contributing towards empowering my kids and the people around us. I hope the slides are not, the slides are not moving with me. All right, I hope you guys caught up with the slides anyway. So yeah, without contribution, there is no growth. Growth and contribution are the driving forces behind our fulfillment. And in every person who spoke today, I could feel the energy of growth and contribution. Jazara's need for contribution is huge, and it's her inspiration, and so on and so forth. And there's growth in every talk and every deep dive that we listened to. So what does it take to get to where we are today? With the mindset, right? Get serious. It is serious being happy or not happy. Step into your ideal, compelling identity. Set your goals. Look towards the future. Get smart. Find out more. Research more. What's going around? What are the books? What are the courses? What's online? What's AI? What's happening? Right? Take action. Commit. And get excited. Even if it doesn't look too good right now, just get excited about it. You will make it good. It's all about our perspective. And get intentional, which is take time to reflect and to relax and to reboot and to give yourself permission to fail, because without failure, there is no feedback. And so that's my story and where I got today and how did I do it, just exactly what I explained. I'm here to inspire and to encourage. I know you're all on a high level and you are where you are, but there is always room for improvement and for those around us. Not every one of us is privileged to go to college, to go to university, to have the degrees that anyone else has. Not all of us have the opportunity and the time and the finances and the support, but it doesn't mean it ends there, because there is always a way out, and we live in an era where we have access to it. Aside from university and degrees, we can do courses online, life coaching, business coaching, mentoring, therapy, wellness, online courses, certification, go back to university. Mind you, this is still my goal. And one day I'm going to go back to university and I'm going to graduate and get this degree. That will be the ultimate of my growth. And networking with people. Today, this networking event is a great learning opportunity, at least for me. And I'm sure you all agree. And finally, personal development. We can know everything in this world and be the experts, but if we don't work on ourselves and the way we think and the way we show up, it's not going to be helpful. Not to keep you any longer, in conclusion, self-growth and education is essential in life, in the life of an entrepreneur, and for every person in that matter. It provides the necessary skills, knowledge, networking opportunities needed to run a successful business. Entrepreneurs who invest in their mental and emotional development will have a competitive advantage over those who do not, and will be better equipped to navigate the challenges of the business world. And with this, I'd like to say thank you for listening to me. I would like to offer a free clarity session to all those present today and those who have left, the panel, the participants, and those who signed up. and members of the Ladies Leadership Club. I want to thank Tanisha for having trust in me and inviting me to present today. Thank you so much. I'm honored. You may follow me on Instagram at Intentional Change. This is my email as well, and my website. You can find out more. It's been a privilege, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Gita. And also as well, everyone remember, Gita's in the membership area as well. So once you're logged in, you can feel free to drop a message there. But thank you so much for that. I think that was an amazing way to end the session. I really appreciate that, Gita. Thank you so much. So I want to call up my co-hosts. I want to call up Minerva and Melissa. Do we have both? Actually, we have Melissa, but I can't see Minerva. Melissa, are you here? Can we hear Melissa? Oh, they're not here. Okay, I wanted to call them up. So if any of you can hear me, I just wanted to get what your kind of highlights were. So I thought it would be really good to get highlights. For me, my main highlight actually from this event was just how comfortable and confident, Liz, you were actually about pointing out that you do not work in this space anymore. I think that a lot of times people are afraid to start and get into entrepreneurship because they think, oh, what will happen when I stop, right? Like, it'll be so embarrassing. I'll look like a failure. But I just think that you have just so amazingly pointed out just actually how it wasn't a failure, it was a choice. It was a choice, and it's a necessary choice to take, because we have to know how to pivot. We have to know when to change. We have to know when to move. We have to know when something doesn't fit with us. We have to know when something might be amazing, like you're supporting 30,000 dyslexic people or 13,000 dyslexic people across the country, but it doesn't feel good because actually it goes against your natural weaknesses and your natural strengths. It just doesn't work for you. And even as much as you said, like, it's so rewarding, actually that's still not enough. So, and I think that's a really big takeaway, because a lot of times in entrepreneurship, people look to their entrepreneurship journey. Yeah, the burnout. People look to their entrepreneurship journey to be the answer to their problems. But the entrepreneurship journey is not necessarily going to be the answer to all of your problems, right? So if you want, like, for example, with Liz's example, if you want that fulfillment and feeling good at the end of the day that you actually help someone, yeah, you get that, right? If you want to hit those big numbers and work with those big brands, yep, you get that. But does it feel good? Is it comfortable to do? Are you okay with writing long reports, managing this, managing those processes, reporting systems? Is it your thing, right? Because once one of the things I always get entrepreneurs to do with me is we always start off with a SWOT analysis, which is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that you bring to the business that you're trying to start. Because that's one thing that we don't do enough. We don't acknowledge that enough. We'll look and we'll think to ourselves, oh, is it good? Will I make money? But we don't think, hold on, I am really bad with managing, because I'm also dyslexic. So like, I'm really quite bad at managing anything to do with numbers, as well as text, but I'm not necessarily all the way as far as having dyscalculia. So I bring that weakness to my company. I bring that weakness all the way to my company. I also have a terrible memory. So if I don't have all the information provided for me for something, I will forget half of the things I'm supposed to remember. So I bring that to the company. I'm also highly emotional. So my company is highly emotional, right? And the idea that one day I might have to accept that my company and we just don't get along, or the way that my company has grown into just doesn't fit with me anymore, is a natural part of evolution and progression. So I just thought, for me, that was the biggest takeaway. And I thought it was a nice addition. And that's why, Liz was saying to me, like, I don't do that anymore. Are you sure you want me to talk? I was like, yes, I want you to talk, because I think it's important for people to know that it's possible to be interested in something and love it and still walk away from it. It does not represent failure. In fact, actually, the takeaways that you've taken from it, no one can ever take from you. You will always be Liz, and you would have always made A to I dyslexia, and everyone that's benefited from A to I dyslexia would have always appreciated the service that A to I dyslexia has brought to it. So exactly, we have to learn to be honest with ourselves, and we have to learn to really appreciate the value of the process, right? The process of running a business, doing it well, enjoying it, and then one day deciding it's not for you anymore and leaving. That is a fundamental part of the process. Like, you have to enjoy that. So for me, that was a huge takeaway. And I just wanted to check with Melissa what you thought. If Melissa, I don't know if you can hear me, darling. But I want to hear from Melissa if you had any kind of key takeaways, or from anyone else actually, if they had any key takeaways. Let me check with the audience as well. Prissy, can you talk? Does your microphone work? I'd like to know what your.
I could jump in ahead of her. Sorry, I'm talking on two devices. So yeah, in terms of key takeaways, I think I learned a lot. I think this session has been super informative. But just quick from my panel, just because I was really so enthralled, was just really the passion behind education, right? Regardless of whether it's for profit or not for profit, the support and encouragement for anyone who's interested in that space, the offering of resources. So for me, that's definitely one of my key takeaways.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's been really good. Thank you for that. Elizabeth, what was yours? Actually, I think we'll go around the room. I'll just go around the room. Anyone that wants to say one of theirs, just put your hand up. I can see a hand up here. It must be yours, Liz.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just wanted to say that thank you so much, Tanisha, for actually saying what you just said, which I can't remember most of it, but I know. What really sticks out for me is the fact that you're like, Liz, you know what? You walked away from it and it was great. You can talk about it. Yeah. When I say I can't remember everything that you said, but it's absolutely spot on in how you kind of sent that message out. And thank you for that, because I did feel like a failure. And I did feel like I've left over 30,000 people behind. And I remember speaking to my mum. My mum's 83 years of age. She said, look, you can't save the world. You've done what you had to do at that time, at that moment. It's best to move on. And to be honest, ladies and gents, if there's gentlemen here, I cried for about a week and I fell into deep depression because I just felt like I let my whole community down. But one thing I took away from it was, if I'm not well and I don't have a good mental health state, how can I help so many people? And to be honest, my dyslexia is so severe that it was really affecting me, as in coming to work every day and performing and getting the results that, our funders are looking for. And I was just like, look, I can't do this anymore. However, thank you, Tanisha. That's really amazing. Just to say, my takeaway today was, and I can't pronounce her name, that's because of my dyslexia. Is it Jazira?
Yeah, Jazara.
Jazara, yeah. My takeaway, I think what's really beautiful is to know that, okay, I've walked away, I'm gone. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to go and get millions somewhere else and just live my life, right? And I think what's really beautiful is to meet other people like Natasha and Jazira, who's still in that space. May not be dyslexia, but they're still helping people to unlock their full potential in whichever way they're doing it. And I think what's really beautiful is to hear the challenges and maybe the struggles they might go through. And I'm sure there must be a few challenges that they must go through. No matter what you do, there will be a few challenges. And they're still pursuing that goal. And, for me, that's really beautiful. It just doesn't make me feel as bad as I felt before I came into the Zoom to actually say that, look, listen, I'm not running A2I anymore. But Jazira is helping young people and women and girls. Natasha's doing her bit. And there's millions of people out there who are really helping communities to unlock their full potential. And that's beautiful. And I just want to say that's really gorgeous. And also, is it Gaida? Gida. This pronunciation is a real problem for me. I love your story. Love your story. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And that was because that was the last thing that you just shared, and what you did, it's made me actually reevaluate myself and say, actually, it's not all about education, is it really? Trust me. I was doing my master's and walked away from it last month. And again, I feel a failure, but is it really? Or can I cope? So here we are. And I just want to say thank you. But on the other note, everybody's been brilliant. All the, this event has been really great. Tanisha contacted me 2 days ago, guys.
I'm a last minute.
Last minute, do you want to do this? I thought, yes, why not? We'll do this. And then today I was sitting there thinking, yes, I do want to do this, but I've also got so much to do. But I'm so glad that I came today. I've met some amazing people. You guys have fantastic, and this event has been really awesome. Thank you, Tanisha, and thank you to all your co-hosts. Really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Doreen, it's been great to listen. Amazing, Doreen. Thank you. I actually remember you calling me last week, so I'm really glad that you've enjoyed yourself as well. So, I just think that on that note, we can pretty much wrap up. We're already about 20, 30 minutes over. I don't think anyone is terribly upset about that. Quite a lot of people had plans today. I just want to say today is the first time ever I have run an online event that wasn't already with a pre-established group of people I know that I knew were going to come, and I've done the marketing and the promotion and all of that stuff, like ever, like not even just for LEC, just ever, full stop. So thank you. So I'm really, really glad that we were able to get together. We were able to do this. Moving forward, of course, Brunch and Learn will continue to alternate between online and offline. But the virtual allows people all over the world to join. And I really love having Liz here, who's in London, who would never have had if we were face-to-face, right? So, and Julian from earlier from the UK as well. And Jennifer, who's out in Jamaica, and I think, you know, there might have been a connection issue when we lost her a little while ago. And Rosemary in Belgium, everyone was all over the world in the panel. And I just think that that is really special. So I definitely want to keep that. Yeah, Liz, you need to come to Ghana. I'm actually going to come to, in fact, I'm actually going to get my son to come and pick you up and carry you back and bring you with him when he gets here. So yeah, do come to Ghana. I would really love to have you back. All right, so I think that's it. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to end this live, and feel free to head over to the members area. I know it all feels a bit new. People are still quite shy over there, but do go over there and share whatever you want to share about your business, as long as it's positive. Gita, were you going to say something?
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been really phenomenal. You should do another one. Do another one very soon. Yeah.
We'll do another one. I'll try to call you more than 2 days before.
Lovely.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Nice to meet you all. Goodbye. Bye.
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 How do I stop it?